Hello, everyone, and welcome into our latest live broadcast. It is the 14th of September, 2025. It's Sunday. My name is CareyHolzman, and thank you guys so much for joining us. I had a little hiccup there at the beginning. My apologies. And it looks like we're good to go once again. And today, as you can see, I've got a couple of laptops in front of me from our friends over at NIMO because, well, they just keep coming out with new models. And all of them are always a great value, in my opinion. I mean, if anybody's aware of a better value of something that's equivalent or better for the same or less price, I want to know about it, because the reason why we're featuring them here is they seem to be leading in that position on pretty much every laptop they make. So today it's a little bit different because as they continue to expand their product line, they've also introduced the same laptop with two different size screens. Effectively, everything is the same about them but their screen size. And of course, they also sell these bare bones, so if you want to put in your own RAM or storage, they can sell them to you without RAM or storage. You can do that yourself and put your own operating system on it. And I'm not aware of any other laptop manufacturer other than maybe Framework, which is a lot more money than this, that offers that. So they stand very uniquely in with regards to laptop manufacturers in that they're a 90-day return. They offer 90-day returns if you buy directly from them. They offer a 2-year warranty, which I believe they extend for another year if you voluntarily fill out the registration form. They're assembled here in the USA. What else can I tell you? They don't throw any nonsense in the box. You're just going to get a laptop, an instruction manual, a power adapter, and a power cable. That's it. It's not a fancy box. All this stuff the consumers are paying for. So they're giving you everything you need, nothing you don't, keeping that price low. And by selling it bare bones, if you don't like the kind of RAM or the amount of RAM or the kind of storage or the amount of storage, or maybe you don't want to run Windows, you can do all that yourself. They'll sell it to you. Well, many other laptop manufacturers don't want you to open their computers. NIMO says if you want to open it, open it. They make it easy to get into. The parts are modular. And the price, as far as I can tell, is cheaper than the lesser known brands that have questionable, if any, warranties because they're out of East Asia and they don't have any American headquarters. It's kind of like a garage sale. You buy it, it's yours. Good luck with it. Many of them that we've experienced here on the channel don't even have a website, any contact information. And yet somehow these laptops sell for less than those. How's that even possible? I have no idea how the finances work, but I'm happy to see it. And, you know, how is this not a household name? NIMO is the name of the brand, N-I-M-O, like Nemo, the fish, N-E-M-O, which is taken from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Captain Nemo. Anyway, my goal here is always to find the underdogs, the smaller companies that have to work harder to earn your business, that are actually, you know, they have a lot of pride and integrity in the products they sell, and they're competing against trusted brand names that are often far more expensive because those brand names carry an extra price tag, or we call it the brand name tax. And smaller manufacturers are hungry for your business, and they're willing to make less profit and give you more for your money and give you better support. At least the good ones are. And what I'm doing is I'm sifting through a lot of these AliExpress type sellers that you buy it and you're on your own. You don't hear from that company ever again. If you write to them for email, good luck. If you write to them for email support, good luck finding their email. Good luck finding a website. Good luck getting a response. So we've been working with NIMO now for a few months, and they're always quite responsive to our requests. Even when we've sent in, you know, tech support requests without identifying who we are, just to see how long they take to respond and what kind of responses. Everything is, well, let me put it to you this way. If I were going to run my own laptop company, these are the standards with which I would run it. Give your customers value. If you truly believe in your product, you shouldn't be hiding. You should have no problem with any extra warranty or any extra return time if you are confident what you are selling is a good value. then what's the harm in adding some more warranty if you're confident it's not going to break anyway? Why not use that as a tool, as a marketing tool, to get people to give you a shot and say, look, you got 90 days to return it. If you can't make up your mind in 30 days, I don't know what to tell you, but we're going to give you 90 days. And if you still don't know, you want to send it back, we'll take it back. Like, I don't know how much better this company could do, as far as I'm concerned, to try to establish goodwill and trust and value and quality other than what they're doing. The one thing that they're dropping the ball on involves spending money, and that's marketing. And it's true of all companies. You know, you can have a great company, but nobody knows that you exist. So nobody's shopping there. Maybe you're a barber and you opened a hair salon, and maybe you charge 50% less than every hair salon in the neighborhood. And maybe you're a renowned beautician, and yet nobody knows you're there. So it's not that you're doing a bad job, that you're not a good stylist. It's not that you charge too much money or that there's a big wait to get in. People aren't aware you exist. And so this is true for restaurants. This is true for every place that has a business. You've got to make people aware you exist. Otherwise, it doesn't matter what your service or your value is if people don't know to look for you. So what I'm trying to do here with my channel is use my audience to help boost up the underdogs that don't have the marketing budgets of the big brand names that spend millions of dollars to manipulate media in order to control a certain outcome. So if you've ever seen a fast food commercial, the burgers and the food they show, it always looks amazing. But when you go and get that same item at the fast food restaurant, it never looks anything like the image. And then when you find out behind the scenes how they make the image, they're often not using real food. They're using props designed to look like food, or they're using spray paints and like they'll shellac and gloss up the food props to make it glisten and make it look, you know, it's all manipulated in order to achieve a certain psychological response. So one of the good things about the small manufacturers is they don't have the budget to manipulate. But a good small manufacturer will have the confidence to say, here's our product, review it however you want to review it. We're not going to try and control it. You don't have to show us the video for approval. And we're confident you're going to like our product. And if you don't like it, send it back. And they're offering the same to all of you. It reminds me of Lee Iacocca. Lee Iacocca in the car business. He used to work for Ford, and he created the Ford Mustang. And it was one of the best-selling cars, even to this day, that Ford's ever made. And Lee Iacocca went to Ford and he said, I've got the next big idea. And they're like, he showed him the idea. They're like, nah, get out of here with that stupid idea. Even though he had a proven track record, Lee Iacocca had a proven track record, I think they felt embarrassed by him. I think he was, because they didn't think of it, they didn't want him to get more credit. So he left Ford and he went to Chrysler, where he introduced the minivan. Now that's a standard type of a car that you can buy as a minivan. Used to be full-size vans only. So Lee Iacocca created the Mustang, created the minivan, and he did commercials for Chrysler, if you remember, and he said, if you can find a better car, buy it. What happened to those days when manufacturers just flat out said, you can't find something better than this, and if you can, don't buy this? Those days are long over, but man, I long for them, when manufacturers just believed so strongly in their product that they could make such a bold statement. And I'm going to do it for Nimo. I'm going to tell you, if you can find a better laptop, and I mean a laptop that sells for the same amount of money as these, or less, no more money, and offers the same amount of performance or better, you should totally buy it. In fact, not only should you buy it, you should tell me about it, because I'm not aware that any such laptop exists. So if you know something I don't know, please tell me. And that's why I'm so enthusiastic about making these videos. And this is why we don't exchange any money, Nimo and I. And I don't even keep these laptops. They send them to me, I review them, and I send them back. Why do I do it? Because I think they deserve it, and I think you as viewers deserve to know what your full options are from companies that are smaller, struggling, that don't have the budgets. I'm not saying they're struggling, but compared to the big name brands, it's not even a contest. So that's the team I want to be on, right? I don't need to be on the big budget team, the big brand team. They got their own marketing and they can pay for all that. And I don't want to be behind the team that's ripping people off, that sells and then vanishes after the sale. And companies like this, they're so rare that if I find one, I'm very skeptical. And then I see it and I'm like, wow, it's good. Let's see another one. It's good. Let's see a third one. It's good. After that, you won me over. And that's what Nimo has done. And that's why I will continue to feature their products here. And maybe someday there'll be a big brand name and you can say, I remember when Carey talked about them back in the day. In the meantime, before they get big and can have all those big budgets and marketing that you end up paying for, by the way, all those commercials you watch on TV, you're paying for those. It's built into the price of the product. The fancy unboxing experience, the fancy packaging, all that stuff that goes in the trash, you're paying for that too. So with Nimo, we're right here sort of in the beginnings, the early stages of a relatively young company that you can understand their motivation. If they want to stay in business and they want to get bigger and they want to become a big brand name, I believe this is the formula on how you get started.
Laptop heaven right there.
Well, I mean, we'll see. I'm assuming it's just like other Nimo laptops in the way that they're built and designed and easy to get into. I expect no nonsense in these boxes. And they're supposed to both be the same, except one's a 15.6-inch screen and the other's a 17.3-inch screen. You can order them both bare bones, and there's numerous configurations available. You could also buy them from Amazon if you prefer as well, where you have a 30-day.
Both links are in the video.
Yeah, links for both Nimo's official website, where you can buy directly, and links to the Amazon site if you prefer to buy from Amazon, are all in our video description below.
You have email.
Thank you. And if you buy one, or if you have purchased one and you want to share your experience with us, we'd love to hear from you, because quite frankly, what I say about it's one thing, but what about the people who actually live with it day to day and have spent their hard-earned money? Would they recommend it? Do they agree this is a solid value? And or do you have a different experience? Regardless, we just want to know from end users, if you've got any experience with this, please share it with us. And I'm assuming everybody's experience is going to be great. You're always going to have a couple people that, you know, aren't happy for one reason or another, but overall, I fully expect the vast majority of people would have a hard time to find anything to complain about, quite honestly. But I put it out there and I invite it all. So again, I'm not sure about what people read or what people hear down the grapevine, but if you have an actual experience, we'd love to hear from people who have had actual experience on many topics, not just this. Rick Lakes joins us with a $5 super chat. Hey, Rick, good to see you, my friend. Planet Cryos with a $2 super chat. Planet Cryos and Rick Lakes both have YouTube channels if you want to check them out. And Planet Cryos just did a video. He's almost becoming a how to update your BIOS channel. He's got more videos on how to update a BIOS on so many different makes and models of motherboards. Kudos to him for that, because it's something there's a lot of trepidation involved in, and people watching those videos, and you see one after the other with different makes and models, should hopefully give you the confidence that it's not as scary as it seems.
2 emails.
2 emails. All right. Thank you. And Rick Lakes, he's got a channel as well here on YouTube where he's talking a little bit about some of the challenges he faces daily in both work life and life itself. So be sure and check his channel out as well. Show him all a little love. And welcome in. Marvin Jameson joins us. I haven't seen Marvin in a while. Hello, Marvin. Planet Cryos just renewed his membership. He's now a member for 40 months. Woo! He goes, my membership months are catching up to my age. Yeah, right? Let's see. Hello to Scott and John P. Eddie Casanova. Jose Lopez with a $1 super chat. Thank you, Jose. Let's see. Mark Gaines, Lou Greenia, Ben Laird, and Doman 2000 join us and say hello. There's Mark Leibowitz, Andy Kane, 3D Everything, and Charlie Purdy join us and say hello. What else? Scrolling. Scott Messerschmidt says hello. Arnold Albert and Kenny Roberts joining us here in the chat, along with Andy W6AD, The Real World. And I see Jorge Torres joining us from Puerto Rico. David Graham and Frank M, along with Richard DeFries, joining us here in the chat, saying hello. Frank Jimmy says hello, along with Mark Kinney and Tim Sull. David Ice. Charlie Purdy renews membership, now a member for 15 months. Right on. Thank you, Charlie. Dennis K says hello. And Paul Vircher with $4.99 in Super Chat. Thank you, Paul. Now, before we get to the unboxing, or I guess the first thing I want to do is I want to show you the way that these are marketed over at NIMO's website, so we have an idea of what to expect in each of these boxes. As I mentioned, they should both be identical except for screen size. But when you change the screen size, you got to change everything. You got to change the keyboard, the case. Everything's got to be different internally in order to fit that larger case. And of course, a bigger screen costs a bit more, so we should see a price differential there, and probably affects battery life. A bigger screen likely will have a shorter battery life than a smaller screen, unless there's a bigger battery, which we'd have to just take a look at and see. Before I start, let me just check the email here real quick, and then we'll get started. In the chat room, C. Remer says, I recently bought one of the NIMO 17.3-inch laptops from Amazon for work. It's a Ryzen 6800H. It was $552. He had two unfortunate issues. It comes with Windows 11 Home, and he needs Pro. And the speakers are not all the great sounding. Yeah, I mean, I could totally get that, because I will tell you, when you get to the higher end business laptops, you're going to get Windows 11 Pro on a business end laptop. And a lot of those laptops, given that they're about twice the amount of money, also will put a lot more effort into the audio quality of the built-in speakers. Now, when it comes to the speakers that are built into laptops or flat screen TVs, you know they're little teeny tiny speakers, so it's not going to sound anything at all like having actual speakers or headphones. But they're, on some laptops, quite impressive. I have a Samsung Galaxy Book 3 that cost me $3,000, and the audio on it is amazing. It's got Dolby Atmos audio and spatial surround sound. It's also got 4 terabytes of storage and 64 gigs of RAM, and a super high-end processor and a discrete NVIDIA 3080 graphics card. And it's 16-inch screen, and it's $3,000. And for the same price, we have to keep in mind, and I keep reiterating the price, I could have bought 5 of these with change left over for the price of that one Samsung Galaxy Book 3. Now, having said that, any sort of issues that you may have, I certainly want to hear about it. But I also want to remind you that when you consider just how much you're getting for the money, my follow-up question is, do you know of another laptop make and model that you can buy brand new that will come with better speakers and Windows 11 Pro and match the specifications otherwise of what you bought for the same amount of money? And I think that's the critical point that I'm trying to get to. If you're saying I can get a $700 laptop that's better, well, of course you can. You can also get a $700 laptop that's the same. But if what you're saying is, my issue with it is that I spent I didn't spend enough money to get what I wanted, that's a different issue than the machine let you down. The way that it would let me down is, one, it's not reliable or didn't show up on time, or you had support issues that weren't resolved. That would be a very serious concern. The second issue would be that you could find a different brand of laptop that had everything you wanted, that matched what we're comparing it to, or was better than. So no less than these specs. So the same or better for the same or less price. That's the thing that would upset me, is I find out, oh, I could have bought this other thing for the same or less that gave me all the extras I wanted. There's a restaurant I go to, and I guess people ask for extra stuff. Can I get extra sauce? Can I get extra ranch? Can I get extra whatever? And they have a big sign on the wall. They have two signs. One says the order ain't made unless the order is paid. So in other words, we're not gonna take your order over the phone unless you pay for that over the phone. Otherwise, when you come here and pay for your order, then we'll drop your order and cook it while you wait. The other sign they have says extra cost extra. So yes, if you want the extra sauce, if you want the extra ranch, it's 50 cents more per. Because people have become, there's been an abundance of people grabbing things to the point that even little petty things like fountain machines to fill your own drink, those are being removed now because of abuse. They've renovated the local McDonald's around us to what I call a Blade Runner McDonald's. And I call it that because it looks like a prison cafeteria. Everybody's in the drive-thru. Nobody goes inside, like very few people. When you go inside, good luck finding a worker. There's kiosks, you enter your order yourself, or you can use your phone and sit at a table. The table has a QR code that you scan with your phone. You do it yourself. There's no napkins, there's no straws, there's no condiments, there's no coffee stir sticks, there's no cups, there's no lids, and there's no fountain machine. If you need anything, you go up to the counter. The employees are back behind a 3/4 wall. Eventually, they'll see you. I think they have a camera. And they're nice people, but they're not in the dining room. They're in the back dealing with the drive-thru. So when somebody, which is maybe 10% of their customers, actually come inside, you're on your own. And so I see homeless people sleeping in there. I see, it just looks like there's no security guard. A lot of these lobbies are open 24 hours. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, if you want to go in there, I hope you bring some sort of defense, some mace or something, because you're on your own. It's very cold and unwelcoming. The chairs and tables are all bolted down. It looks like a prison cafeteria. It's very uninviting. And it's the same food, and the employees are great, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to eat there. They don't want you to eat there. It seems pretty clear. They want you through the drive-thru. Get your stuff and get out. Now, if I said, look, I can get a better burger for the same price in an atmosphere that's friendlier, if I can go to Wendy's and get a higher quality burger and fries, in my opinion, for the same or nearing the same price, but I can actually walk into a normal fast food restaurant with tables and chairs that move, a soda fountain, I can fill my own drink. I don't have to ask somebody permission like they're my mommy. Can you fill this up for me, please? that's the place I'm going to go. And even though I don't mind McDonald's, that puts me off. So if I'm like, well, I can go to Carl's Jr., I can go to Arby's, I can literally go to Burger King, any other fast food restaurant, and not feel like I've walked into a prison cafeteria. So now it's not even about the food or the prices. Now it's about, I don't feel safe here. I'm looking over my shoulder, it's sketchy. And this used to be a nice restaurant. They renovated it and they ruined it. And then I thought I'll just go to the one down the street. Well, it turns out they already renovated that one too and tore out all the family-friendly part of it. And now it's just a prison cafeteria. And if that's the way the world's moving, well, then I'm moving the other way. That's all I gotta say. So I appreciate your feedback on the speakers and the fact that it's Windows 11 Home. I don't know why you wouldn't know that didn't have Windows 11 Home, only because it's very, when we look at the site, when we pull these products up, it very prominently states what operating system is on it. And you could, again, you could have ordered it bare bones and put your own operating system on it. So, and as for the speakers, look, it's a very subjective thing. I never expect speakers in a laptop to be very good. I was blown away at just how good the Samsung Galaxy Book 3 speakers were. But if I really care about my audio, I'm going to put Bluetooth headphones on. But that's just me. But again, I appreciate the feedback. It's honest feedback, and that's how you see it. I see it as what else you're going to get that's close to that for that price. Just for full, to look at it from both sides. We've got a very generous Amazon gift card from our friend Charlie Purdy. Thank you, Charlie. He said this is for the channel and community. Our friend Mark Gaines out there in Northern Ireland also sends an Amazon gift card. Thank you to Mark Gaines, as always. We appreciate your friendship and your generosity. And our friend Buster, Peter Laycock out there in Scotland, sends us an Amazon gift card instead of the Super Chats. With the Super Chats, YouTube takes 30% of your Super Chat and your membership. Any money you give to Google, they take 30%. And then they make us wait 30 to 60 days before they then send the money on to us. With Amazon gift cards, we get the money instantly, and Amazon doesn't take a penny of it. So we appreciate when folks go out of their way like that to, because the Super Chats are easy to give. The gift card's a little bit more involved. But, the fact that we have so many of our members here looking out for us and wanting to make sure we get, the bulk, as much as possible of what they're giving without the middleman taking out too much. We really, really appreciate that, because a lot of the items that we feature here, we're going out to Amazon and we're buying. Luckily today, our friends over at NIMO sent these units for review. So at least today's content, we're good. But if I plan on making, 4 videos a week, this is 1 video out of 30 days this month. You can see how expensive that can get. Or we change the direction of the channel to less product review and maybe more discussion of technical resolutions, issues, and news. But right now, just trying to balance everything. And we are a user-supported community. We don't have any sponsors here. You are our sponsor. We don't make reviews that are actually advertisements disguised as reviews. We don't do that here. Most channels do, because, well, they've got bills to pay. But in any event, thank you all for being members, and even for just folks that join us in the chat room. Our friends there hanging out in the community are cherished and valued here. And we thank you for being a part of this community, whether you're a member or not. Going back to the gentleman who purchased a NIMO, said, I was aware of it being Windows 11 Home. So it's hard for me to understand why you'd complain about it if you knew that and bought it anyway. What were you expecting? But, okay. But he's just going to upgrade it to Windows 11 Pro. still cheaper than anything close to the same. And I think that's my point, right? And again, I appreciate your feedback. But that's my point, you know, compared to what? I understand where you're coming from. You're saying, well, if it would have come with Windows 11 Pro, it would have been better. For you, if it would have come with better speakers. But you're not complaining about what you got. Clearly, you're keeping it because you see the value there. But I mean, that's kind of like saying, well, I'd like this McDonald's a lot better if they'd serve filet mignon. I mean, it's just not what McDonald's does. And you're certainly not going to get it for that price, right? So at some point, it's like, well, it'd be great if my car was a lot more like a Rolls Royce. I mean, sure, you know, we wouldn't think so. But it doesn't mean it's a bad car. Let's see. Tom Jackson was $7.77 in Super Chat. Right on. Thank you, Tom. Viper30 joins us and says hello here in the chat room. All right, so looking at today's laptops, what is it that we're looking at? Let's get to it already, right? Well, let's start off with, which one? Let's start off with the 15-inch laptop. Let's go there first. This is the N154. That's the model of the laptop. This is a budget, entry-level, really business or home user, not anything but gaming, quite honestly, or content creation. This would not be a good content creation machine. But I also want you to understand that it's $349. Furthermore, it's offered in multiple colors, gray and silver and blue, and that's including 16 gigs of RAM. I don't see what the storage is. You can even bundle it. Yeah, 16 gigs, 32 gigs, or 64 gigs, and the price will change accordingly. This is a 1 terabyte Kingston drive. So depending on how you want to spec it out, you could even get it with no RAM and no storage and put your own operating system on it. And now I want you to think about this. You're getting an entire computer. That's the motherboard, the cooler. You're getting the case, the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, the speakers, the screen, the keyboard, the trackpad. You're getting everything but the RAM and storage and operating system. Brand new, under warranty, same 90-day returns for $250. And you can do 4 installments. So if you don't have $250, they've partnered up with Shop Pay, which I think is Google. And I don't think there's any interest. Yeah, it's interest free. So $250 divided by, looks like 2 options here. Either 4 interest-free installments, which would be about $65 or somewhere under $65 in 4 installments. I don't know if those are weekly or monthly. And then it's paid for, no interest. Or you can make an even smaller payment of just $22.56 a month with interest. And if you don't have credit, it's a great way to start building it. That'll take you about a year to pay off at $22 a month. Maybe a little bit more than that, depending on the interest you're paying. And you can always pay more than $22.56 and pay it off early. There's no punishment for that. There's no fee for that. So i3-1215U, and it is advertised as a laptop for business, which does make me wonder now, does that mean it comes with Windows 11 Pro? Let's bundle it up here with, let's say, let's do 32 gigs of RAM and a terabyte of storage. I don't know about this expert built and tested. I think you can't turn that off if you're customizing it like this. That's what I think it is. You'll see if I ordered it today, I'd get it in 5 days. It's Sunday today, so I'd get it on Friday. 2-year warranty, 90-day return. It's a 65-watt charger, so it's very power efficient. There are additional chargers and accessories you can buy. You can extend your warranty for more than the cost of the laptop. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you know, you can totally do that. Let's see, it's got the fingerprint sensor, the webcam shield or privacy shutter on the webcam. And it's going to have, it looks like universally they're using Windows 11 Home, which is sending a mixed message if you're saying that this is for business. So that, you know, we're going to bring this to their attention and just say, I would choose one or the other. And we're looking at $400 for that configuration, which is, I mean, are you kidding me? I remember when you could get a Chromebook for $400, thought it was a steal, and it's way more limited than this. All right, then let's take a look, compare this to the 17.3, which I'm guessing is also going to be a 1215U, but let's verify that. So I'm going to come back over to, let's see, come over here to camera 1 just for a moment so I can pull up the other link. It's 17, here we go, right here. And there we go. So the NIMO 17.3-inch Full HD display, that's going to be 1080. It's an N171, so this is the model number. It's the i3 1215U, and they promote this as student and business. Now the home version of Windows 11 makes sense for student, but it does not make sense for business, and I'm sure it's still going to say Windows 11 Home down here, because I think that's all NIMO sells. So we'll talk to NIMO about the free installation of Windows 11 Home and its association or correlation with what they're defining as business use. So that being said, it does have a backlit keyboard, webcam, everything's pretty much the same. It just has a bigger screen, same warranty, same return, and of course it's priced accordingly. So with 16 gigs of RAM, you're at $419.99, and a 512 gig SSD. That's complete at $420. All right, and multiple colors: gray, blue, gold, rose gold, and silver. And there's no additional cost for any of those colors. Many other manufacturers will charge you for the colors that are the more popular colors, just so you know. I think even Apple does that with, they're going to have an orange iPhone and it's like $100 more or something because it's orange. Any way that they can imply added value simply by changing the color of the paint. NIMO, if you notice, they don't play those games. They're much more honest. So neither one of these machines is going to be a rocket ship, nor would it be reasonable to think you're going to get a brand new computer that's going to be setting speed records. It's also not designed for gaming. That doesn't mean you can't play games on it. It's just not built for that. You can do a lot of things with tools and things you buy and use them in ways you never, that the manufacturer didn't intend you to use it for. So for example, maybe I need to roll out some dough in the kitchen and I can't find my rolling pin. So I grab a beer bottle and use that as my rolling pin. It's not sold as a rolling pin. Okay. It's probably not really great as a rolling pin compared to actually having a rolling pin, but it might be good enough. And so just keep that in mind, that the target audience for this would be students, home users, people looking to, you know, use a computer for almost anything, again, other than, let's say, content creation. Obviously, if you were Stephen King or a novelist, you could obviously write a novel on this without a problem. And browsing the web, social media, playing YouTube videos, paying your bills online, booking your airline tickets, everything you use a computer for, but brand new. Everything's new, everything's under warranty. And if we do this without RAM, without storage, just bare bones, it's only $320. That's everything, right? That's you put in your own RAM, you put in your own storage, you put in your own operating system. If you want Windows 11 Pro, you put it on there. But the laptop in and of itself, with the screen, the case, the battery, the keyboard, the trackpad, the Wi-Fi, the motherboard, the cooler, all of that is built into this price. And again, the same warranty still applies even if you're doing that. It doesn't apply to the stuff that you're buying somewhere else. But anything that they sell you, if you didn't damage it, you know what I'm saying? Then they got warranty on it. So they've got very easy to reach. They're not difficult to find, to look for help. And they have support on their website. These are recently released models. The Wi-Fi on these will be Wi-Fi 6. They are not Wi-Fi 7 unless you want to pay more. That's not offered on this model, but on higher end models that would have that. And it's going to be DDR4 RAM. It's not soldered onto the board. You can upgrade it. And you know, they want to keep you as a customer for life. They want to earn your trust. They want to earn your business. And they want you to refer them to your friends. And there's only one way you're going to do that, and that's by building trusting relationships with customers. And there are two types of business attitudes today that I see predominantly among businesses. There are the businesses that value relationships, and there are businesses that value high volume sales. Usually the two don't coincide. When you're valuing high volume sales, that's your Walmart. You know, that's like, you're nobody to them. I don't care how much money you spend. I don't care how often you shop there. You're not special as far as they're concerned. If you stop shopping there, they're not checking up to see if you're okay. If you don't like something, too bad. You know, we'll give you your money back if you want to wait in line for a half an hour at the customer service desk during their limited operating hours, or just don't ever buy it again. They don't care. You're dealing at such large volumes. It's like a big pile of ants and you're worried about one in the pile. They don't have time for that. They're busy helping other people. So on the other side of it, you've got people who really care about a good experience from the customer, typically lower volume sales, because it's difficult to do both unless you have a big staff. And if you have a big staff, you probably have to raise prices in order to make all of the payroll. So that means you spend a bit more time listening to the customers if they have concerns, and you spend a little bit more time trying to resolve the problem to make it good for the customer rather than just trying to dismiss the customer. So a lot of the bigger corporations, they just want to get rid of you. What is it you want? You want a refund? Here's your money, go. They don't really care so much about what can we do to make you happy, to make it right, other than if you put it back in the box and bring your receipt and you're within the rules of the receipt and you wait in the line and you do everything we tell you to do, then we will refund your money. But if you don't do everything, you don't get anything. Too bad. Come back when you have everything and wait in line again. We have other people to help. Next. I think the companies that are there building relationships, that's usually on a higher end company. So if you eat at a fancy restaurant and you eat there regularly and you're spending $200-300 or more per meal, they're going to get to know your name. They're going to look forward to seeing you, and they're going to make sure you are happy with every meal. And whatever they can do to make it right, other than saying, why don't you just leave and we'll give you your money back? No, they want you to keep coming back. They want you to bring your friends. When you buy a high-end luxury car, you are likely going to be treated very differently, where the salesman you deal with is probably a bit more refined and knows the product better. It may be the same salesman versus the revolving door of car salesmen in most dealerships. They could have salesmen for 20-30 years that have been there. They know you. You've bought from them before. They want you to come back for your next car, for your kids' cars. And they want to make sure you're happy because there's more money in it for the sale of a luxury car than, say, a cheap car. This is pretty normal. If you ever buy a Rolls-Royce directly from Rolls-Royce, they know who you are. And they will know who you are from that point forward. And they will do everything they can to make sure you are happy. They want you to come back. So understand why I'm making such a big deal about NIMO, because they are giving amazing customer service and yet offering the lowest price, even compared to AliExpress. They're cheaper. How is this possible? Now, I'm not saying NIMO's giving you concierge technical support. That's not what I'm saying. They are giving you, if you send them an email, you aren't going to get ghosted and you aren't going to wait a week for a response. And they want to make sure that when they're helping you, that it resolves the issue. They don't just want to get rid of you. That's what most tech support is paid to do. They want to make sure that they're able to resolve the problem so that you become a happy customer and that you will refer your friends and you will want to buy another laptop. And when it's time, you'll want to buy it from them. And that's only done through building relationships. And it's a very strange crossover, because at the price they're selling these, you'd think this was a numbers game where they've got to cycle through high volume. And if you're cycling through high volume, then you don't have the time or the budget to really spend that much time with customers. It's just faster, give them a refund, get rid of them, just get rid of them. The fact that they're crossing those two things together, they overlap, it doesn't seem like that's financially feasible, and yet here they are, and they've been doing this for a number of years now. I was just late to the game. I wish I had known about them earlier, because we would have featured them last year or the year before. And the only reason we didn't, there's no marketing, right? Never heard of them. Now I know, and I can tell you, and now you know, and you have other options to consider that you may not have known that you had these choices of, right? I'm not here to tell you what your choice should be. I'm here to say, well, yeah, those are your choices, but did you turn your head over here and see these? Thanks, you made my decision harder. I don't think so. I think when you do your comparison, I think your decision's probably going to be pretty obvious, but that's really for you to figure out. All right, so which one do I want to start with? The smaller one or the larger one? We're essentially looking at the same configuration. And let's see here. Should I start with the 15 or the 17? Joe Justice said on the 4 payment installs, you pay every 2 weeks. Well, there you go. That first payment is due on the same day you order the product. That's fair. That's fair. Because otherwise, you know, they're assuming all the risk, and you're getting, what happens if you don't pay? You know what I mean? Like, and the fact that it's every 2 weeks, people usually get paid once a week or once every other week. That should coincide with your payday. And by doing it that way, you'll have it paid off in 2 months. You don't have that debt sitting on your shoulders, and you don't pay a penny more. You won't pay any interest than if you had paid cash by putting it on a 4 payment interest-free installment. But if you don't make those payments on time, all bets are off. You could get late fees and interest charges. But all you got to do is make that minimum payment. And when they're installments like that, you're not really, the idea is that, well, could I pay it off early without any prepayment penalties? Read the contract, but it should be fine. But it's not designed for that. It's designed to say, look, even if you've got the money, just put it away and wait till your next installment. Not that you necessarily have to, but the idea is that this can also help you build credit, so that those kind of installment plans you don't need. You can with good credit, you can use a credit card to make your purchase and get cash back on the credit card, which is the opposite of paying interest, so long as you pay the credit card off in full before interest charges accrue, which is typically 30 days, your billing statement. So people who have a lot of money get paid to spend their money. And the people who don't have any money pay extra to spend other people's money. The people who can least afford it will pay the most. So you've got to build your credit some way, at least if you want credit. Or even regardless of that, those are the most common attitudes. Some people just prefer to leave their credit cards out of it and just use the installment plan just because it's free and it's easy. So it's not like you have to have certain qualifiers, but there is a much easier credit approval process on those installment plan than there is on a credit card. So primarily it's people who ordinarily can't get a credit card for one reason or another. And one of the biggest issues is you have a lack of credit history. Well, how do you get any credit history if no one will give you credit without credit history? And so that is typically where services like that are utilized. At least here in America, I can't speak for other countries. I assume it's probably similar. Sam Lazar, Tim Sowell want me to start with the 15-inch. All right, let's do that. You might remember Marvin Jameson. He's in our chat room here. He should be blue. Marvin is a 3-time Purple Heart recipient, war veteran, and military veteran. I think it's fair to say war. And he's one of the coolest dudes you'll ever meet. So I always smile when I see him. Great guy. All right, let's get the 17-inch laptop out of the way just for a moment. Grab my razor, and we'll clear some space. Okay, this is the unboxing of the Nimo N154 15.6-inch laptop. I love the consistency of the packaging. Every Nimo laptop we've opened has been packaged exactly the same, whether it's a 15-inch or a 17-inch, a gaming laptop or a budget laptop. They are all packaged exactly the same. You have a piece of foamy styrofoam protecting the screen and the back of the laptop from getting crushed in shipping. The laptop itself is here. There's some instructions in here. And in this box, there's just going to be a power adapter and a power cable, and that's it. Watch. Pretty unusual that I get to know a manufacturer this well, that they don't keep changing things, that they have a good process that they're sticking with. Ooh, that's a nice color. It's almost like a grayish gunmetal. There's usually some protection here to keep the keys from hitting your screen. All of our ports on the side. We've got a trans flash or a micro SD card reader, USB 2, USB 3. We have a 3.5mm headphone jack and a Kensington lock if you needed a steel braided cable to lock this bad boy down for if you were worried about it being stolen. Over here, we have a USB Type-C. That's going to be for your power, although not necessarily has to be used only for that. Some laptops it does. But usually when a laptop is powered by USB-C, it is almost always universally the USB-C on the left side, closest to the screen. Almost universally, regardless of manufacturer. Beside that is another USB Type-A 3.3. I don't know if it's 3.1, 3.2, but it's USB 3 because it's blue. We have an HDMI out that will only become active when you load Windows. So if you're trying to get in a BIOS through HDMI out, you're not going to get anything until Windows loads. And then you have another USB Type-C here, probably USB 3, I would imagine. For, I suppose you could probably use that to charge your phone or for data transfer, etc. Accessories. On the top, power button, and you have some lights indicating power status, if it's on or not, caps lock status, and probably num lock status. Those are your standard 3 lights most keyboards have. Trackpad, fingerprint sensor, webcam with the privacy shutter right up here on the top. You can just feel the little privacy shutter opening and closing. I don't know if the camera picks up the orange dot that appears there that indicates the shutter is closed. The last thing we should have in the box is our power adapter and power cord. Power cord. I like how they sort of have an indent here to kind of keep the two things from clashing into each other. Not that there's anything you could hurt, but I suppose they could get scratched up, and that might be enough reason for somebody to return it. So just bending the cardboard in like that doesn't really cost anything, and it adds a little extra protection from things getting scratched up. Okay, so this is our power brick. This is going to look awfully similar to anybody that's got a smartphone. It's essentially just that. Maybe a higher wattage, maybe not, depending on the kind of charger you have. After all, smartphones don't include chargers anymore. Remember when they used to? This charger says, let's see, I don't know if I can read it with my glasses. It's really small print. Yeah, it's a, I think it says 65. It could be 85. I'm pretty sure it's 65. Isn't that what I read online? These are my magnifying glasses. These are the ones where my eyes should look like Milton. Yeah, 65 watt max. It's a USB-C power adapter. You could use this to charge your phone or charge anything that is USB-C. I mean, maybe not at the same time as using the laptop, but say you were traveling and you wanted to take a laptop with you, and maybe you've got a toothbrush, an electric shaver, cell phone, I don't know. You don't have to bring necessarily all the chargers. You just need to bring this one charger. If they're USB-C chargeable, it'll universally charge all of them and your laptop. So that means packing is a lot lighter. It also means if you forget your charger at the hotel, you are screwed. Well, not really. I mean, you could literally go to any electronics store when you're traveling and pick up a 65 watt USB-C charger. Also, NIMO sells spares, and they don't charge an arm and a leg like other places do. Oh, and I forgot, there's one more thing in here. 2 more things. We have a little thank you card here, reassuring you of they're appreciating your business and including their contact information. They're not hiding from you. If you have any questions or you want to reach out to them, they give you this, think of it like a business card or a welcome card, introducing themselves and letting you know we're here for you if you need us. It's a nice touch, especially at this price point. And then we've got sort of a quick start guide here. And that's it. Everything else is empty in here. So I just want to get this out of the way. And this. And this. And that. Let's get it all over there. Because I don't have a big desk and I want to be able to turn this on for you here and see what it looks like. We'll go through the out-of-box experience together, and then I should be able, actually I think when the out-of-box experience starts, the HDMI output should work. And we don't hook this up to the network. We don't do that to any computer, mini PC, laptop, or otherwise, until after we get to the desktop. Only then. If you ever order a brand new computer that boots right to the desktop without asking you your username, that's sketchy, and I would be worried if I were you. All right, so we're going to plug in our USB-C, and then I'll just reach down here, and look how long this cable is. One of my big complaints is what? On the budget computers, they often come with really short power cables. The power adapters can often block other outlets nearby. This one isn't going to do any of that. First of all, they give you the long power cable, and this is long and narrow, so that if you are plugging it into just a standard wall outlet, you can go either this way on the bottom outlet or turn it around this way on the top, so it doesn't block anything else using neighboring outlets. That's a good design. Okay, so with it plugged in, we'll bring this around this way. Press the power button. I have a blue light that has come on right here. And in real time, as we're live, unscripted, and unedited, we'll see it do its first boot up. I cannot see the screen. It's facing you. So I'm hoping I can grab the HDMI and plug it in, and we'll get video output so I can turn the laptop back around, but you can still see. So let's try that. Where's my HDMI cable? Right here. All right. And that'll go this side. There. Make sure it's all the way in there, Carey. Now, I'm waiting for the out-of-box experience to start. Probably if I switch over right now, that HDMI is not activated. Let's check. Oh, it is activated. Look at this. Oh, good. Now I can turn the laptop around. There's our out-of-box experience. United States, yep. Yeah. So that's language. Now the region, United States, yes. Is it a US keyboard? It is. Do you want another secondary keyboard layout for a different language? I do not, so we skip that. I don't want to connect to a network. Look, I don't have internet is right here. You don't have to do the Shift F10, the bypass NRO, none of that nonsense. I appreciate that. And it's going to ask you twice, are you sure? Yeah, continue with limited setup. And accept the license agreement. I'll put the username of user with a blank password. That way it goes right to the desktop without stopping. I'm going to go ahead and leave location settings on. That way I never have to mess with date and time. This is really important because of daylight saving time. Always, roll back the clocks or roll the clocks forward an hour. This will take care of all of that, including any time zone difference based on the factory that assembled the laptop, where they're located and what time zone they're in is usually what it gets shipped to you with. And then people feel this compulsive need to go and manually change that. And it can often cause a lot of problems when they change it and have typoed. They fat finger it, they don't realize it. And a bad date and time can cause your browser to stop working. You can get all kinds of Windows Update errors over something so stupid as not paying attention to the date and time. So my overall recommendation is let the computer handle it for you. Now it can't do that until we're connected to the internet. So we're waiting right now for the desktop to appear. Now when the desktop comes up, let me put camera 1 up and we'll keep an eye on both of these things together. When the desktop comes up, this has no Ethernet port on it. It's a thin laptop. An Ethernet port is like a ½ inch thick. This laptop's not that. So in order for us to get online with it wired, which is what I want to do since I'm on a publicly broadcast worldwide video, I don't want to go through the process of logging in to Wi-Fi because it's a security concern, and me having to type the password that Mara has set up. Just no, it's overly complex. So I've got a little USB to Ethernet adapter for just such an occasion. And I use this for multiple things as a technician. When people bring me computers where their network card isn't working, they need a network card driver. How do I get the network card driver without a network? I have to use another computer, find the driver, put it on a flash drive, use the sneaker net to walk it over and do it there. Or I could just plug something like this in. Or if I'm building a brand new computer where Windows Update doesn't recognize the network adapter, I need the network adapter driver, and I need to get on the network to get it. Once again, this is a great tool that I use just for temporary purposes, but you could use it permanently if you want to. But I'm going to just plug this in to any USB port, Type A port, and all the drivers for these are already built into Windows. Otherwise, we'd be right back to the same problem. So I'm going to grab my network cable, and we're going to plug it into the network. Now, it shows the date being correct, and the time is correct, oddly enough. It might be on Pacific time. So that's okay. When I plug this in, down on the bottom right corner here, that little globe is going to turn into a little monitor, and it'll have a little flashing Ethernet cable as it obtains an IP address from my router. They communicate with each other. It's already done, and when that happens, you'll see all of the shaded out, ghosted icons in the start menu become solid and visible and visible. And if I get rid of camera 1, you can see the whole screen. And if I look here on our clock, just out of curiosity, we'll hit adjust date and time. And yeah, it is set to Pacific time, which Phoenix is on currently, but November 2nd, is it? Then California, everybody moves their clocks in the United States, except for Arizona. And I think there's another place I can't think of. Is it Hawaii? I can't remember. So I'm going to set the time zone automatically. And if you're having difficulty with your clock syncing, just turn the set time automatically off and back on again, and then it will resynchronize down here. Right there, it just did it. And if I want to, I can set my time zone manually, but you can see it already defaulted to Arizona. It figures out from your internet service provider's IP range what part of the world you're in. So with that, we can now hit Windows Update. And while it's checking for updates, I make a few changes here. I want to receive updates for other Microsoft products, as well as keep me up to date and to notify me when it's ready to restart. Right now, there's no optional updates available. So we're going to go back, and I want to take a look in the device manager. So I'll right click on the start button, go to the device manager, and I'm curious who makes the Wi-Fi adapter in this. So if we go to network adapters, it's made by Intel. It's a Wi-Fi 6 AX101. That's also your Bluetooth. This Realtek USB 2.5, that's the thing I just plugged in. That's my little adapter. Those sell anywhere from, I've seen them as cheap as $10 on Amazon for like a 1 gig USB adapter, as much as $40 or $50 or even $100 for a 10 gig adapter. So the sky's the limit there. Those higher end adapters do require drivers though. But the 1 gig and the 2.5 gig, generally speaking, you just plug them in and drivers are already preloaded. Let's take a look at our system properties just to verify the specs match the website's description. It's a 12th gen Intel Core i3 1215U, which is exactly what they said. It's 8 gigs of RAM, and it's Windows 11 Home, but it's version 23H2. So this is almost a 2-year-old install of Windows 11 Home, which is unfortunate. And the reason it's unfortunate is that the upgrade to 24H2 is a big update. In fact, if we go back, is it even offering a 24H2 to us? It looks like there's maybe a firmware update here too. We'll see what this does when it reboots. But I will say that 25H2, the next version of Windows 11, is due to be out this fall, maybe November. I don't think we'll see it in October. Probably in November would be my guess. Nobody can really say for sure. Microsoft plays their cards pretty close to their chest. That being said, it's another big update. It's a big, 6 or 7 gig download, and it takes a good, in average, about 40 minutes to an hour to install it. So that's disappointing that right after doing the 24H2 update, you'll need to do the 25. Once 25 comes out, 25H2, you should be able to simply, let's say you bought this laptop in December or early 2026, and it still came with 23H2, you would skip 24H2 altogether and just put 25H2 on it. It would be nice if it already came with the latest version. Now, there's always some overlap when it comes to when the version of Windows comes out to when manufacturers apply it to their build, and then the shipping, putting it in the warehouse, getting it in the distribution, and then getting it to your front door. So I expect 24H2 to be the default install on computers well into January. But once we hit 2026, I'm starting to expect to see 25H2, except maybe older inventory or companies that were a little slow to the game. And certainly by spring, if we talk about March or April of 2026, I don't expect to see the previous version of Windows anymore. So 24H2 came out in October of 24. And I do believe in November of 25, it's an annual update. It's a big, massive, full install of Windows 11. It's not just a patch. It is a complete new installation that upgrades on top of your current install. It's massive. So to have to do that on a brand new computer is one thing when the update's fairly recent. But when the update is nearly 2 years old, I don't know why it's missing. So a little criticism. I do, again, it doesn't mean I don't like NIMO, but it also means I'm also not blind that NIMO doesn't get a pass. And I will call out any manufacturer that does this, regardless of how I feel about the company and the people. This is a little concerning if this model just came out. Maybe this model didn't just come out. Maybe it's the model we did Friday. That's the brand new one. I'm not sure. And then we can check the 17-inch model and see if that's the same. It's not a huge deal, but at the same time, I can't help but ask why. So we're going to go ahead and wait for that to finish installing. And while we wait, let me jump over to the chat and see if you guys have any comments or questions. Hey, there's Gregory Howard renewing membership, now a member for 24 months. Right on that, 2 years he's been a member here. Thank you, Gregory. I always get nervous about shortening people's names. It might be too informal. I've met people, hi Matt, no, my name's Matthew. Hi Mike, no, my name's Michael. So I don't mean any offense by that informality. Andy says they should include a Nemo Go Fast fish sticker. You can have my fish sticker. Demon said it's nice to not get stuck with proprietary plugs or barrel plugs. Yeah, like Lenovo has that rectangular weird plug with the yellow band. Sometimes HPs have the barrel plug with the pin in the center of it. I agree. Yeah, let's all agree. USB-C, even the European Union told Apple, no more lightning connectors. You're adding to e-waste. It's unacceptable, making people buy separate adapters. And telling Apple, too bad, so sad, you will accommodate and play by the same rules as everybody else, or you won't be selling your products in the European Union. And so Apple now supports USB-C. But boy, they didn't want to. Looks like a video driver's going in right now. See my screen blanking out. I think the computer went to sleep there. I can check those power settings. Just go over here, type edit power. That's it, edit power plan. And well plugged in, let's leave the monitor on for an hour, 2 hours. I'm good with that. When it's on battery, I'd be a lot more aggressive with that power saving. When it's plugged in, let it run. The Smash TV network says the USB-C is bad on a laptop. It's easy to snap off. What connector is not easy to snap off on a laptop? USB flash drive? No. USB anything? No. Barrel connector? No. Barrel power jacks are one of the most common requested repairs that repair shops do. What other things do you plug into a laptop? HDMI, you could snap that off. Name me one connector that doesn't just snap off the side of a laptop. It's hanging off the side. There's nothing unique or different that makes USB-C more vulnerable than a barrel connector or any other connector. So you lost me on that one. Hey, Oystein joins us and says hello. Welcome in to Oystein. We have two Oysteins, but I believe they both join us from Norway. Haven't seen either one in a while. Welcome in. Mike Gamer joins us in the chat room and says hello. Matthew says, I love USB-C. One cable can charge nearly all of my devices. Yeah, I went through that earlier. By the way, I've never broken a jack off of any electronic device ever in my life. So maybe just some of us are more accident prone or just don't pay enough attention to the delicacy of electronics. I don't know. It's not a Tonka truck. You know, it's not meant to be put in the hands of a 3-year-old and say, have at it, and not expect any damage. There seems to be some people who just don't respect the technology and then blame the technology when they abuse it. But, you know, I'm not saying that person is that. I'm just saying those people exist. So, we're downloading a big cumulative update here that'll take a minute, and then after that we'll restart, and then we can run like a crystal disk mark. I'm expecting, well, actually, yeah, I'm expecting more of the same. I think it's Gen 4. We'll find out. Gregory Howard with a $20 super chat. He said, here's my 2-year gift to the channel. Well, thank you, Gregory. Thank you very much. Having you here, we consider a gift to the channel. But yeah, we'll take the 20 bucks too. I couldn't leave it sincere. You know me. You should know me by now. Sam Lazar said they're putting the same requirements in buy now, pay later services as credit cards in Australia. Well, it'll be an option for some people, and whether or not it's a good or a bad choice financially, it's for each individual to decide, and how they qualify or if they qualify and what the terms or conditions are between you and the company you're working with. I don't have a say in it, but they certainly do what they can to make this affordable, and if it's still too much money, to make it possible for you to make payments without any interest, provided you qualify for that, regardless of, you know, the rules may change from place to place, but there are qualification standards. So apart from that, I don't know what else more they can do to help get you into a machine that's new and reliable and built well, that's supported, that you can make interest-free payments on and not have to break the bank. So, but yeah, the terms and those conditions probably vary from place to place. The Smash TV network says USB-C fails from plugging it in over and over. Oh, you must work in the industry as an engineer, or you're a repair technician? Because I've never seen that repair in my life. So sometimes people will pop into the chat. They don't use a real name. We don't know anything about them, but they seem to be an expert in certain areas without any evidence or proof or citation. And you're just supposed to believe them because they talk as though they have authority and knowledge that I don't think they actually have. And the reason I say that is because I don't just talk the talk. I've been in this business, it's going to be 35 years, and I have nothing to hide. I'm just here to be honest with you. And it doesn't matter to me. There's no dog in the race for me to exaggerate or to beat up on something that isn't true. I'm paid the same. And the YouTube channel is an extension of my business, and it's designed specifically because of all the misinformation that exists online. Freedom of speech is also freedom to lie. And even if people believe their own lies, it doesn't make them true. And so if somebody has any evidence of particular component failures, we'd like to see where they're getting the information. A lot of it these days, especially in the online world, is just people hearing it from other people. And so there is no original source. So if you do want to present factual information, especially if it's challenging anything I'm saying, please provide a link. And if you cannot post links, provide the name of the article that we could Google search so we can determine if you are reading from a gossip site or an actual official respected authority in technology, such as a manufacturer. That being said, I would highly encourage everybody to always, including the things I say, verify before you go repeating things you've heard. Verify they're true first. And when somebody's repeating something they've heard, how would you know unless you verify it yourself before you believe them? So you've got somebody with a fake name who's not a regular visitor to our community suggesting the information I'm providing is not accurate. And yet we don't know who they are, and they don't use a real name, and they don't provide citations. And you've got me, who started this YouTube channel in 2008, and I've been making well over 1,300 videos in that time, showing real work done live and unscripted. There's nothing I can do to, get a certain result other than to do the work, and you watch it happen in real time. So I can't manipulate the data, and I have no reason to lie about it. So just food for thought. Things that make you go, Danny said he's got a USB-C phone. It's 3 years old. It still works like brand new. If you take care of it and don't abuse it, you're not going to have a problem with it. Yeah, I think some people are just abusive. They don't respect tech. And then when they abuse it to the point where they're so sloppy and sort of ham-fisted with it, it doesn't give them the same experience other people who take care of things will see. Our good friend Mitch Morrison, he has, well, at the time, he had 2 cars, an SUV and a Saturn, of all things. And I think that Saturn was 18 years old before he sold it, and it looked like brand new. Mitch goes out there and he takes care of it. There's no stains on the seat. There's no cracked glass. If there's a rock that chips the paint, he gets it fixed right away. You would never know that that car was 18 years old. Now, some people, they'll leave empty bags of food in their car. They'll run on tires that have no tread with brakes that have no linings. And, they're driving around a jalopy. And it could be the exact same car that Mitch has, but Mitch looks like brand new, and this other person's looks like it's ready for the junkyard. It's so beyond repair, the repairs would cost more than the car is worth. Is that the car's fault? Things that make you go, Steve Chappelle wants to know if I'll be doing a review of Nimo's mini PCs. We have reached out to Nimo in that regard, and I think what we're doing, I'm not sure what Nimo's thinking, but they, for whatever reason, want me to focus on the laptops at this time because they have so many. They want us to showcase to all of you all the various options that are available. I believe, and I'm not sure because they haven't been really clear about this, but I think once we work our way through their catalog, we will get to the mini PCs. And I hope so, because I very much want to see them. So best I can tell you, Steve, is I hope so. I want to. But I also can't have Nimo sending me 15 computers. There's no way. They need to send them 1 or 2 at a time, wait for me to make the video, return it back to them, then we can talk about the next 1 or 2. So to go through a month, we might go through 3 or 4 per month. And if they have a catalog featuring dozens, well, that's good for me. It's lots of content. But and I've been very impressed. I really like the consistency with Nimo. Sometimes there are manufacturers that will buy what's ever in the market as a white box, and they'll put their own brand on it, and no 2 computers they sell are similar in any way. And you can tell when there's a manufacturer versus a trader. So a trader, somebody who trades things. And so what they'll do is they'll buy it from a manufacturer. We look at brands like Ace Magic, Camrui, Napogi. These are all the same company. Wowie is the same as I can't think of their name now. They represent like 3 different brands with the same computer, essentially. And then you've got other brands yet, like B-Link and TrigKey. You've got other brands that will just sell you, like for example, you or I, we could create our own brand of computer right now. All we have to do is, well, I say make a phone call, but you'd send an email to the manufacturer in China. They've already got it built. Which one do you want? How many? You need to order a certain minimum amount, and they'll customize them with your brand name, put them in boxes by the pallet, get it shipped over to wherever you need them shipped, and it's your job to sell them. So for example, doing nothing more than sitting at a keyboard and having a credit card or some financing, I can order CareyHolzman branded machines made by the CareyHolzman Corporation that are not made by the CareyHolzman Corporation. They're made by a third party in China. So I send an email to the company, we negotiate a price based on how many I'm buying, and then I can have them shipped directly to the Amazon warehouse. Then Amazon's going to charge me to receive my product and warehouse my product. So I got to take my expense of what I'm paying for the units, paying to get them shipped, and paying for sitting in the Amazon warehouse. Amazon is then going to take a cut of commission on every unit they sell, as well as if I'm having Amazon ship it for me, I've got to pay for shipping as well. I'm not quite sure how that works out. I don't think it's full price. So when I say I'm going to sell my product on Amazon for this price, once everybody gets their cut, the manufacturer makes money, the distributor makes money, Amazon makes money. I need to make sure there's enough on top of that for me to make it worth my while. Even though I've done none of the work, I've just typed in the keyboard, made the arrangements, set the prices, and cashed my checks. Now, if I want to create my own website and offer support, either I have to do that myself or I have to hire somebody. I have to pay them. I have to work that into my price. When an Amazon shopper is looking for, let's say, a mini PC, how would they know I exist unless I then pay for additional money to market it, to make people aware? Should they just stumble onto it, that's all well and good, but I'll certainly sell more units if I spend some money in advertising. That may mean paying Amazon more money, that when somebody does a search, my units show up as the first 2 as sponsored links, as Amazon does with pretty much every product. Now that person that's shopping might go, wow, they want a lot of money for that. Well, yeah, look at how much money we have to spend to make it available. So then the customer might say, well, I can get the same thing somewhere else for less money. There's no brand loyalty. They're just looking for a good deal. And then I don't make a sale. So if I don't make a sale after a certain amount of time, Amazon says your products aren't moving. You need to get them out of our warehouse. Tell us where you want them delivered. And if you look on the news, you'll see where Amazon has dropped massive amounts of packages to random people's addresses not necessarily of computers, but things like shampoo or dish soap, where the product wasn't moving. Amazon said to the seller, you need to get this out of here. And it's a free service that Amazon will deliver it to your own warehouse. These sellers are in China. They don't have a warehouse in America. So in order to avoid the fines from Amazon, they just pick a random address, somebody's house. Somebody shows up back home after work and there's boxes piled out to the yard, all of dish soap. What's going on? That is a violation of terms of service from Amazon, and they will cancel that seller. But it costs the seller nothing to do that. Otherwise, the seller would have had to pay money for product they already paid for that isn't moving, only to pay more, and then you couldn't earn your money back at that point. And Amazon does not offer a donate it to charity option for the sellers. So what choice do the sellers have? But if you Google that, there's plenty of news stories out there, if you've not seen one already, of someone just getting Amazon boxes arriving to their house nonstop, and they usually always contain the same stuff, box after box after box. There's only so much you can give away. You're like, when's this ever going to stop?
No.
And we got an email. Thank you, Mara. So just waiting on this update. Now, likely when we reboot, we're going to be offered 24H2 on this, and I'm not going to do that live. It's going to take a while. So I'm a little disappointed in that. And then we'll open up the 17-inch and we'll see if it's configured similarly. Oh, Luke Greenia sends us $25 via PayPal. He says, just because everything helps. Indeed it does. Thank you, Luke, joining us there from Vermont. Oh, this is an interesting tidbit of information. This comes from Jeff. Jeff says, NIMO will provide you a Windows 11 Pro license. You just have to ask them for it. Basically, you give them the serial number of the laptop to prove that you're a real customer and you're not scamming them, along with your purchase receipt. That's great information, and I do believe NIMO told us this before and I have forgotten. So I appreciate that. Yes, that is absolutely correct, because I remember now. If you want Windows 11 Pro, NIMO will provide that license. You'll have to do the work. You'll have to, do the install and the upgrade. But they will give you that license if you ask for it, and just provide your proof of purchase, which would be a receipt, whether it's buying from NIMO or buying from Amazon or wherever, and your serial number, so they know that they've already given you one, so you can't ask for a second or a third. Right? These are all standard business practices to avoid being scammed. Very reasonable, and it'll cost you nothing. So yeah, thank you, Jeff. I completely forgot. I think that catches me up here. If you're wondering how people are emailing us, the email address, I'll put it here on the screen while we're waiting, is right here. And that's a way you can reach out to us via email. And while we're live, Mara is monitoring those emails and will alert me to anything that has to do with the show. If you're asking something more business related and you want to talk to us about a transaction or specifically for help, we have the email, and we also have our public forum, CareyHolzman.boards.net. That's all available for free. And yeah, we'd love to see you in there. Now, for me, anytime I get a brand new computer, and it doesn't matter if I've built it or it's pre-built, the first thing I do is exactly what I'm showing you in this video. We do all our updates. We want to make sure everything updates without errors, because if there are any errors, you don't want to start customizing this computer. You don't want to start plugging in your printer and flash drives and backup drives and setting up your email. No. Because you might end up having to send the unit back. More times than not, it's going to be fine. But just in case, it is a new piece of hardware, whether you built it yourself or it's pre-built. One of the best burn-in tests as a professional computer technician, one of the most intensive things you can ask your computer to do is to download these updates. And if you're missing a lot of them, it can also result in software that you're installing not installing correctly because the missing updates aren't there, and the software you're installing might require them. And you'll just end up chasing your tail trying to figure things out because you're trying to do too much all at once. So we take it slow and steady because that's always going to be consistently faster, especially at scale. And we make sure that everything goes according to the numbers. We make sure that we do one thing at a time. We boot up without internet. Once we have internet, we do whatever it takes to get it updated. Once that's handled, if everything's still fine, then we'll start to configure things like printers and software gets installed and activated one at a time and reboot in between installs. And the reason we do that is so if the system doesn't reboot or has an error on the next boot and you've installed 6 different things, you don't know which of those 6 things caused the problem. So if you do one thing at a time, yes, it takes longer, but it'll actually end up being faster. Should you have a problem, you will immediately know the cause of that problem. You won't spend any diagnostic time, or at least you'll know where the problem is. If you don't know what the problem is, you'll know where the problem is. It's the last thing you changed. So if you're changing multiple things, it's one of those last things, which is going to increase your diagnostic time. You change only one thing, and it was booting fine up until that point, and now it doesn't boot anymore, and the only thing you did is this one thing, you immediately know where to look for the problem. How to solve the problem, you have to know where to look for the problem first. So that cuts it right in half. That's going to speed everything up. Now, if everything works like it's supposed to and you don't have any problems, well, good. Then there was no harm in taking it one step at a time. It's just the first time setup anyway. So once you get through that, you get a brand new car, you're going to adjust the seat, you're going to adjust the mirrors. You know what I mean? You get kind of get comfortable with it. Once you set it up, and it might take a day or two, a little more forward, a little more back, a little more up, a little more down. There it is, mirror needs to move a little bit this way or that way. And then you don't have to touch it anymore, unless somebody else drives your car and moves it all. You see what I'm getting at? Take your time and set it up right, and then you never have to go back and revisit it, or at least far less frequently. And should there be a problem in the process, you'll know exactly what's caused it. And that's half the battle. And so that's why I follow the process. I'm setting up, maybe a person at home sets up a computer once every 4 or 5 years. I set up 4 or 5 a week. So for me, slow and steady is much faster, much more sustainable and predictable. I can accurately gauge how long it takes to set up laptops, desktops, mini PCs. They all pretty much take the same amount of time regardless, because I follow the same process. Frank Jimmy said he did 2 Windows 10 extended security enrollments for 2 customers yesterday. Went to Windows Updates, clicked on Enroll Now. Pretty straightforward. Enrolling was no charge and no sign of a $30 fee for Microsoft to enroll. Very good. Yeah, appreciate the update. That's referencing yesterday's video. I think I'm caught up here with chat. So yeah, we're just going to wait for this to load. I'll go ahead and throw a crystal disk mark on it. We'll get a quick benchmark of the internal NVMe drive. I'm just curious if it's Gen 3 or Gen 4. I think on 12th Gen it should be Gen 4. And I'm not expecting a whole lot out of a budget laptop, but I'm also not expecting SATA. I expect NVMe. So regardless of what it says, what the specs say, and I'm not even sure it even specified, we will see in real life what we're getting, so we know what to expect. Then we'll unbox the 17. We'll see if that has a, oh look, we're getting a firmware update. Look at that. So that was a BIOS update. So here's my guess. This must be an older model of laptop, older inventory. That must have been sitting around. That would explain why it has an old install of Windows 11 and why it's missing a firmware update. It's nice the firmware or the BIOS updates happen without your permission. People are like, should I do it or shouldn't I? This decision has been removed. Basically, Sony, Dell, HP, Lenovo, whether it's a mini PC or a desktop or a laptop, all of those pre-builts will all update BIOSes whether you like it or not. That's how critical they think it is. The other day, somebody asked, should I update to the latest BIOS? Well, it really shouldn't even be your choice. This is how it should happen. But manufacturers like NIMO are probably not as aggressive with Windows update, BIOS updates rather, as the bigger manufacturers that have entire departments dedicated to programmers and developers, and they have a lot more models to support. So I think, you know, with the bigger name brands, you probably see more BIOS updates overall. With a lot of these small manufacturers, you don't get them. They often don't have the budget. In many cases, they don't even make the BIOSes. They're buying it, as I mentioned, they're just buying something pre-built somebody else made and putting their name on it. What we're looking at here is clearly a sign that this is NIMO's BIOS, this is NIMO's computer, and they're not just putting their name on something. And they're working with Microsoft in the same way that Dell and HP and all the big players do by offering those BIOS updates through Windows Update, so the end user doesn't have to know about it, go looking for it. As a computer technician, this is the way every computer should be, regardless of its big brand or not, in my opinion. When it's doing a BIOS update, just leave it off, leave your hands off of it. Don't touch it, leave it alone. Leave it plugged in. You don't want it to run out of battery during this process. Some laptops will even tell you you have to plug it in before the BIOS update will continue. This is why, so you don't turn your laptop into a paperweight. So that was nice to see. I didn't expect that. But they're probably rather infrequent, BIOS updates. So this suggests this is older inventory. And that may be also why it's got such an aggressive price point. Computers and technology, boy, they depreciate quickly. And it sits there, and you're just losing money the longer it sits. So it's got a good 1 year lifespan for new product. But the minute you go on year 2 or year 3, the attitude of the buyer who's somewhat informed will say, well, that's an older model. That's a 12th gen. I know Intel's making the 15th gen. That's 3 years behind. Okay, but it's also a third of the price. So you understand what I'm saying? It's not like anybody's getting ripped off. You can get a much better price on last year's technology, and there's not that big of a difference between year after year. If you took the exact same chip 1 year to the new version the next year, the new generation, it's an average of about 10% difference. So until you get to about 4 years or more, you really don't notice much. It's 10% faster, 20% faster. You know, the end user themselves isn't any faster. So it just depends on what the end user is expecting, or the amount of money they're spending, and how demanding they are, and how they use the machine. But this is all starting to make sense now. Okay, with that, let me grab my USB flash drive, and I'll need my glasses. We'll copy over Crystal Disk Mark, and we'll run that real quick, and then we'll get to the 17-inch laptop. We'll see if that's the same. I'm curious. Okay, we'll let that run, see what kind of numbers we get. Guess I can just move this over a little bit. Okay. Danny wants to know if a Ryzen 9 9950X3D is the best gaming CPU on the AM5 platform. Depends on the game. There's esports games, retro games, first-person shooters, games that are played on multiple monitors and high-resolution strategy games, RPG games. There's no such thing as bad. You know, is a Three Musketeers bar better than a Kit Kat? Or for my friends in Britain, a Curly Whirly or a Flake? Which one's better? That's for you to decide. There's no objective, definitive answer to that. There's just highly opinionated people. So if you're using the computer the same way those highly opinionated people are, then you should probably use what they're using. But if you're using it in the way that you're using it, you should probably get the hardware that best suits your use case scenario, which includes the games you play, the resolution you play at, the frames per second you want, the genre of game you play, how many monitors you play on, at what resolution, with what bells, whistles, and features you want turned on. None of that makes you a better gamer. If you sucked at gaming, having a fancy gaming computer just makes you still suck. There are kids that are 5, 6 years old that will beat your ass in Fortnite using a 10-year-old computer because they're just spending more time and practice in the game. So if you really want a great gaming experience, you have to put the time in. You just are never going to learn to play piano or play tennis without getting out there and doing it. You have to keep doing it over and over and over again. There's a famous violinist, and I can't think of it. It's Zach Perlman. And after a concert, someone said, "I would give my life to play the violin the way you do." And his response was, "I did." You're not going to pay money to be better at a game. And if there is a game that you can pay to win, I'm not interested in playing that game. It's not a fair playing field. That means people with money will win the game more often, where really games should be about skill. If there's no skill involved, to me, it's not a game. But maybe I'm an old man. I don't know. Buying a faster car doesn't make you a better driver. All right, we're looking at 3,784 on the sequential read speed, 1,976 on the write. That's a pretty slow drive. It is slightly faster than Gen 3, but just by a hair with regards to those read speeds. So let me grab a screenshot of this. File, save image, Crystal disk mark. I've had people talk to me about keyboards, and you can watch me type on any keyboard. I'm usually pretty quick. It doesn't matter if it's membrane or mechanical. It doesn't matter how far the throw is. If you're a good typer, you're going to type good on everything. Now, you might have preferences, but having a better keyboard doesn't make you a more proficient typer, not by much anyway. That's more about being able to sustain longer periods of typing in comfort without having any sort of cramps. I used to type 20 words a minute until I got this fancy new $200 keyboard, and now I can type 100 words a minute. No, it doesn't work like that. I never knew how to boil water, but now I got these new pots and pans, and I'm making souffles. Yeah, because it's the pots and pans. All right, let's save that to the desktop. And you know what? Let's run Crystal Disk Info, and that'll give us some information on the drive. So back over to my utilities, back over to the testing software, Crystal Disk Info, drag that out. Close that window. Crystal disk info. 64-bit. Goes that way. Should pop up here in a second. It's analyzing. There we go. So it looks like it's a Western Digital SN740. This is only a 256 gig drive. Wow, that's really small. It says it's Gen 4. It says it's a Gen 4 drive in a Gen 4 slot. Well, let me tell you, if there was the slowest Gen 4 on the planet, you're looking at it. Technically, it's a Gen 4, but just by a little bit. So you can see how prices can be reduced by reducing the performance and capacity of storage. On the other hand, as I mentioned, you can buy these bare bones, meaning, I guess this is in the way, meaning that you can purchase this without RAM or storage and provide your own. Probably for most people, yeah, I don't know that 256 is really ideal. 512 should be a minimum today. So overall, like if I'm just being honest, this is the most underwhelming NIMO laptop we've seen. And primarily because of how outdated everything is. This does appear to be an older model. Now that may be also why they want me to review it. They want to get rid of them. And they might be willing to go much, much cheaper on these because, and I'm just guessing, I really don't know, I don't have any insider information here, but if it were me and I was the manufacturer, I want to get these out of here. And that usually means you're going to be real aggressive on the price. Encourage people to buy it. So overall, you know, you're looking at a fully working computer with a warranty from 250 bare bones to 350 fully populated, even though barely populated, and it's going to require some updating. So you're going to pay for the difference in money with your time. But then once that's done, it's not going to keep revisiting you. It's done. You know, once you get those updates installed, you get the BIOS updated, you're going to have a little longer setup time. But in exchange, you're saving money. So there's not a right or wrong. It's just a personal preference. Some people have more time than money. Some people have more money than time. Very few people I've ever met in my life have an abundance of both at the same time. Okay, where I'll put this, I gotta find a place. The studio is crazy crowded, guys, so just bear with me for a second as I try and find an empty place to put this here. Because I don't want to scuff it or scratch it. Okay, now by comparison, we should be looking at the same computer. But what I'm curious about, does it have the same old BIOS and the old install of Windows? There's one way to know for sure. Set this over here. And once again, what we're looking at, bring up the website here. Just as a reminder, it's been a while since we talked about it. It's not the screen I wanted. Hold on. There's the screen. This is the NIMO N171. So it, in theory, should be identical to what we just looked at, only the screen size is bigger. And this is the bare bones model at $320. That's a hell of a deal for a 17-inch laptop. But if we bundle it with 16 gigs of RAM and a 512 gig Kingston, you're at $420. And again, you've got the full 90-day return if you're ordering from NIMO, 30-day return if you're ordering from Amazon, and a 2-year warranty, same as before. Otherwise, it should be the same 65-watt charger, same ports, everything's the same. Maybe it's the same Wi-Fi too. We'll find out. All right, unboxing the NIMO N171 laptop. Again, we're going to see that same consistent packaging process in all NIMO laptops across the board, which, again, I really appreciate that consistency. We have this foam that protects the front and rear screen. So if the shipping in the process of being sent to you, I just lost my screen. If the process of sending this to you, if it gets other boxes stacked on it, etc., that you don't end up with a cracked screen, because that would be very disappointing. Obviously, you'd be able to return it, but you were probably looking forward and anxious to receive it, only to have to turn around and have to send it back would be a bummer. So that helps prevent that from occurring. It's a nice touch. And I need to figure out how to get my screen back. I just lost my screen. How did I do that? There it is. Okay. Then we're going to have our laptop, our instructions, and in this box over here that's going to contain our charger and cable. That's all you get. Just what you need, nothing more. And nothing less. Starting to all look familiar. This is deja vu. So we've got our laptop in silver this time, which I'll set here. Thank you card with contact information if you need to reach out. Quick start guide right here. This box doesn't have the split the other one did, but regardless, it's a little I pick up on all that little stuff. But in here, we're going to have power cable, power adapter. So we're going to use the same power cable and power adapter on the other that we just opened. So I don't need to unpackage this one, because we already know. These are just for review. Now notice the size difference. Oh, and we have the this protection material. This is to keep the keyboard from smacking into your screen. I've seen some laptop owners keep this. I don't. But maybe if you travel around a lot, it might be a good idea if you're going to be jostling this around to keep that in there. I see a lot of customers never take their laptop anywhere, in which case you shouldn't need that ever again. Even still, you probably don't need it. But for people that take extra care of their stuff, those people will keep that. Whenever you get a brand new anything, you should keep the box in packing during the return window, just in case you need to return it. You need to put everything back you received, or you might have to pay for the replacement of the materials for them to be able to resell that product. So overall, you can see we got a much bigger, when you're only going 2 inches, you're going diagonally, right? And that adds a lot of square inches from a 15.6 to a 17.3. It's not just an 1.5 inch difference. Here's what I want you to think about. If you own a 26-inch computer monitor and you see a 52-inch computer monitor, is that twice as big? Monitors uniquely are measured diagonally. So in order for you to get 52 inches diagonally, if you have a 26-inch monitor, you'd have to set another 26-inch monitor next to it. You'd have to set a 26-inch monitor above each monitor. You'd have to have 4 monitors that were 26 inches each to measure diagonally 52 inches. That's a lot more than just 26 inches of difference. When you add up the square inches of real estate you're getting horizontally and vertically, as you can tell, this is pretty sizable difference. Let's go ahead and plug it in, turn it on, and see how similar it is. I guess I got to go to the proper side here. Okay, power button. Blue light is on, right over there. And let me grab my HDMI cable. That's going to go right over here. In theory, we'll switch over to HDMI port 3. So right now that video driver has not loaded. There it goes. For the HDMI port to work, Windows has to load the driver, so it won't work in the BIOS or things like that. Not on these laptops. There are some where it does work. Most needs Windows drivers to work. And then a lot of laptops these days don't even include HDMI ports anymore, which is very disappointing. I'm glad to see the HDMI ports are still included on all of the NIMO laptops. All right, let me go full screen here so I can see it the way you guys do. And let me turn this laptop around so it faces me now so I can see what you guys are seeing. Yeah, that helps. Okay, so we're back to the same out-of-box experience. English is the language, United States is the country, for the region. And then United States is my keyboard layout. I don't want a second language keyboard layout. I do not want to connect to Wi-Fi, so the fact that it says I don't have internet, and I don't have to hit Shift F10 and bypass NRO is a nice touch. I have to tell Microsoft no twice, accept the license agreement, and then I'll put the username of user, enter, enter. And again, I'll keep location settings on to keep my date and time always accurate. But the rest of the stuff I prefer to turn off. And we accept those terms, and it begins to set up our desktop for the very first time. So giving it just a minute here, let's put camera 1 back on the screen and it's a little smaller. So just come down. And then we'll take a look, we'll do the exact same thing. We'll look how many updates are missing, what version of Windows 11 we have. We know it's going to be Windows 11 Home, but is it 23H2 like the other one? Will there be a firmware update like the other one? We're going to find out. We don't have to wonder or guess. Coreyman says, are they both the same wattage of charger? Yeah, they're both the same charger, 65 watt charger. Exactly the same. Just about ready at our desktop. I do want you to keep in mind these are advertised as budget computers. They're not advertised to be rocket ships, but they have a full warranty and support. Whether you're buying a $3,000 laptop from NIMO or a $300 laptop from NIMO, people are all treated equally. I think that's an important consideration. So now I'm going to go ahead and plug in my internet. So I will use my little USB network interface card here, and we'll plug that in right over here. And then it'll negotiate with the it'll negotiate with the router, get an IP address, and then it'll fill all these icons in. It'll also set the date and time for us, which is a little off right now. It will do that automatically, but before I check for Windows updates, let me just make sure that we force that to happen right now. Yeah, see, this box was not turned on. Let's turn that on. It should take care of it. Still has not taken care of it. So I'm going to turn set time automatically off and then back on again. And that should force the clock down here, which it did, and it's now correct. So with that, we'll hit Windows Update right here. And let me move camera 1 back down into this corner. And we'll check for updates. And while it's checking, again, I'll turn this feature on here. Go to Advanced and turn these boxes on. They're just my personal preference. And we'll edit our power plan just to make sure the monitor doesn't go to sleep on us while we're plugged in and live. So edit power. Yeah, that's what I want right up there. And I'm going to set the monitor to stay on for an hour without going to sleep, only when it's plugged in. When it's on battery, then yeah, 3 minutes is fine. Try and preserve that battery for as long as possible if we're out and about. And then we'll see what the updates look like. Also, I can, again, since we're waiting, I'll right-click on the Start button. Let's look at what version of Windows we have installed. Same CPU. We have more RAM on this one. This is still 23H2, so it looks like this is still going to be older inventory. The contact information for the company is down here. I like that they're presenting that to you. They're not hard to find. Device IDs and product IDs are not personal identifiable information. They're not product keys, okay? So don't worry about, exposing this on. This doesn't mean anything. Now, if we go to it's like maybe a UPC symbol. Everybody's got the same ones, right? If we look at the device manager, right-click device manager, see if it's the same network interface card for the Wi-Fi. Oh, it's working. Network adapters. Intel AX101, Wi-Fi 6, exactly the same. Yeah, they're identical. So far, identical in every way. So does that mean we're going to get a BIOS update for this through Windows Update? Let's go back and look, see if we get our results yet. Yeah, it's right there. So the same. I think the drive on this is bigger, the solid state drive, but let me just check. C drive. Yeah, this is a 512. So this one has a 512, the other one's a 256. We right click on that and go to properties. Sometimes you can see the manufacturer by going over to hardware and then looking at who makes it. Oh, this is made by Samsung. Interesting. I don't know if it's Gen 3 or Gen 4, but we can figure that out later. It's definitely a very different NVMe drive, different manufacturer, different capacity. Now, while we're waiting, I can use my flash drive. It wouldn't be accurate to measure the performance of the NVMe while all the updates are downloading and installing, but I can at least run Crystal Disk Info and see what mode it's in. If it's in Gen 3 or Gen 4. Also, if it's by 2 or by 4, by 2 would be half of 4. So whatever it is, we want to see by 4 or X4. So we'll go to PC Testing Software, Crystal Disk Info. And while I'm in here, I'll go ahead and copy out Crystal Disk Mark, even though we're probably not going to have time to get to that. These updates are going to take a while. And even when they're done, we're still going to have to do 24H2, which is going to take even longer. Now, once that's done, it's done. Okay, let's see what Crystal Disk Info says about this solid state drive in here. Give that just a second. Should pop up. We're obviously asking a lot of the computer resources at this point that it's downloading and installing at the same time. It's showing we're running pretty hot right now, which is a little concerning. It is a brand new drive. And yeah, we're at 512 gig. And it shows Gen 4x4 as both the drive and the slot. This is a little concerning. When you reach the 70 degrees Celsius mark on an NVMe drive overall, that's not good. That is not good. When we were testing TerraMaster, has that all NVMe NAS, and we were running into some really significant heat issues where the drives were reaching 74 degrees Celsius, which is 4 degrees above what should be considered maximum. And if that happens on a regular basis, you're probably going to suffer a failure sooner rather than later. Now, I don't know how accurate this is, but if we assume that's 100% accurate, then that drive is over. It's running too hot. It's not overheating, but it's at a critical temperature, right? Where it just, you don't want that to sustain over a long period of time. Not good for longevity. And that may require further investigation, maybe on another video. We open this up, see if anything is shifted in shipping. When we opened up the Nimo on Friday, the thermal pad looked like it was shifted to the right or to the left, maybe in the manufacturing process, maybe in the shipping process. That means that it's not making good contact. And though we did not have any heat issues, and I wasn't looking for that problem, it is something that concerned me, and I made sure to set it right just to be on the safe side. In this case, something's not right. I have to assume they wouldn't put a drive that gets hot in here. Something must have shifted or isn't seated properly. And we'll have to open it up to take a look at that just to verify. But again, I want to get all the updates done first. And I'm curious what Crystal Disk Mark will read in performance. And by the time that's all said and done, we're going to be at a 3-hour video. So I don't want to go any longer than that today. But definitely, this will be something we revisit and look into it. And yeah, we'll make a video out of it and just see if there's anything obvious there. So while that installs, let me take another look over in our chat room, see if you have any other questions that you guys have. Andy says you may be better off to get the bare bones. Maybe. Yeah, because then you won't deal with an old version of Windows. You won't deal with a small or slow NVMe drive. And then it's on you to keep that drive cool, because you could put a very high performance drive in here that this is not designed to cool. And you're going to have to come up with your own solution, which in my book would mean replacing the drive with something less aggressive. But, that's me. You might have a different solution. But, machines like this, they're not built to be rocket ships. They're not meant to be raced. It's not a racing computer. This computer is for getting work done and on a very strict budget with support and warranty. And I've seen people spend $800 on an NVMe drive only to put it in a $300 computer. And I can't make heads or tails of the sense of that. But, you can. I'm not saying you should, but you can. So machines like this are really designed to sort of hit that middle point. Not designed to get the lowest, cheapest of the cheap, and not designed to get the highest of the high and the most expensive. Right down that middle. And that would mean, in my interpretation as a computer technician, like a Kingston regular NV3 budget NVMe drive that'll hit 5,000 megabytes per second without getting too hot. That would be your sort of middling drive for budget, performance, capacity, and heat. And there are others besides Kingston. That's just the one that came to mind, and it's often used
in pre-built computers. It's often the choice of manufacturers. Clearly, they must be very aggressively priced in manufacturing. I'm sure it's not coincidence. But yeah, there are other alternatives that do fit those same price, heat, performance made by other manufacturers that are neither bottom of the line nor are they top of the line. They fall in the middle. And machines like this is very much a middle machine. Actually, it's more of a budget machine, but bringing it up to the middle is understandable. Taking it higher than that wouldn't make any sense. Like I said, it reaches a point where, you know, somebody puts tires and rims that cost $4,000 on a car that's worth $500. Why would you do that? You can. You absolutely can. I don't know why you would. But there you go. To each their own. Andy wants to know, would the S880 phasing work in this computer? I don't know, because you're looking at the highest end NVMe drive, right? It's a Gen 4 drive that saturates the Gen 4 bus. So for me personally, I would not do that. You're going right to the highest end of Gen 4 into a machine that is very limited with everything else, not to mention potential heat problems that come along with higher performance. But I wouldn't know without testing it. I really don't know, but I wouldn't even bother, because again, it's mismatched. You're putting high-end parts with low-end parts, and it might work, but it might not. You just will have to try it and see. And the issue, what I would be concerned of with anything that fast, doesn't matter who makes it, if it's running at the top end of Gen 4, it's going to get hot. Period. End of story. Nothing to do with price. It might work fine. I mean, I would assume no, and I would advise against it. Putting a high-end anything into a mid-end something else, you're mismatched to parts. But that's just my opinion. We'll keep an eye on this here as it updates, and I'm going to go grab a cold Gatorade real quick. In the meantime, if you have questions for me, this is the time to ask, because after we do these updates and we reboot and run Crystal Dismark, we will wrap it up for today, and we'll save any sort of, you know, opening up the laptop, looking inside, checking to see that the thermal pad is sitting correctly on the NVMe drive. We'll save that for next week. Every Monday we do members only shows. So tomorrow at 1 o'clock, if you're a member, I hope you'll join us tomorrow. 1 o'clock. Those videos are never, ever, ever made public. And we try and keep the video notes pretty sparse so people don't know what they're about, unless they're members. If you become a member, you help support us. You help support more content like this, where I can be direct and honest. I have no dog in the race. I don't get paid more or less based on what I say. Unless you like what I'm saying and you become a member, then I guess I make a little bit more money. That's it. There's no sponsors here. Think of us like the public broadcast system. We're viewer supported, only we don't get any government grants. Haven't applied for any. But it's unlike most YouTube channels, because you couldn't, this is very difficult to operate on a shoestring budget to do this kind of work. And it's the members that make it possible. Now, a few years ago, sponsors would make this possible with conditions and strings. But even then, we weren't doing that. So nowadays, today, sponsors have pretty much just walked away anyway. So we're fine with it. Legrini said in his opinion, he thinks these two laptops are priced very well for what they are. Yeah, they're not pretending to be anything more, and they're not disguising it in price or in appearance or in specs. They're very open and honest about what you're going to get. The only downside, or the I suppose opacity, what's not being made transparent and clear, is the version of the operating system and the age of the machine, because we don't know. Maybe they have older parts that they're buying and are building these right off the factory floor last week. Clearly, these weren't built last week. These were built a long time ago because of the operating system. It doesn't take any more time to put 24H2 on it than 23H2. Once you spent the time to configure it with the drivers and you've done that, you just have to restore a master image. But once you've done that and packaged it, you're not going to go back, unpackage it, and then update that image. That's way too much labor. And then you can't sell a laptop as cheap. So that's why I believe these are just going to be older inventory. But it's still sold brand new with a brand new warranty. And that would help explain the discount. Nobody's giving anything away for free, and nobody's getting rich off of it either. Nobody's taking advantage. So you can't fault them. I don't see anything morally or ethically questionable in that. I just want people who are considering buying one to have a realistic expectation of what they're buying, because I want you to be happy with your purchase. If you're not going to be happy with it, please don't buy it. If you're not sure if you're going to be happy with it, please try it. Don't make up your mind based on what you see or hear. Base it on real world experience. If you don't like it, they'll gladly take it back. You've got 30 days with Amazon. Just put it all back in the box, send it back. It's free to return. You get 100% money back. So then you'll know for sure, based on real world experience and not conjecture and gossip online, what it means to you. It's the best way I can explain it. One man's trash is another man's treasure. And if you are on a very strict budget, you might be over the moon in just how much computer you can get for the money. This is an entire computer. You've got the screen, you've got the battery, the keyboard, the trackpad, the 10 key. You've got the Wi-Fi, the storage, the RAM, the cooling. The OS is already installed with all the drivers. Granted, it needs to be updated. But it's the entire, all you do is plug it in, open it up, turn it on. At that price, it would be very difficult for me to find anything to complain about. For that value, you're getting all of that. You piece all of those pieces together. You tell me how much all those pieces cost added up. It's no less than $500 worth of parts. It's sort of like if you wanted to build your own car and you bought all of the components separately to put the engine and the transmission together yourself. You bought the frame and you bought the body panels, you bought the paint and the glass in the interior, all the accessories and wiring harnesses and computers, the tires, the brakes, the hydraulic lines, all of that stuff. Your $40,000 car, when purchased out in pieces, will probably be about $140,000 for the exact same car that you have to do all the work on. It's at least 3 times more just in the value of parts. You know, we're living in a strange time, and I found this to be true on the computers I've built. If I have a computer built that I can sell, I can get a certain amount of money for it today. If I disassemble that computer and sell off the parts, every single computer I've got here will make more money in total sales being disassembled without all the labor of putting it together and cable managing it, installing the operating system. That has 0 value today. If anything, it has a negative value, because then people go, well, you know, they start picking at individual part selections and then taking down the price. But when you're just selling individual parts, then you can sell each individual part to the value it has of the highest bidder, and you will make nearly twice as much money. Like it's not like you make an extra $20. A $500 computer in parts is at least $700 in parts versus $500 assembled, where you're basically paying people to let you have you put it together for them and wire it all up and get it all configured and all the screws turned. that makes it worth less now. These are the times we're living in 2025 in the market. Whole computers are worth less than pieces of computers. It makes no sense, but that's what it is. Call it as I see it. I think people could buy a computer with a graphics card in it, like from Amazon or wherever, and just take the graphics card out of it and then sell the rest of the computer yourself as a used computer. And it'll be cheaper for you. You might even get the graphics card for free. Maybe not, depending on the graphics card. It costs you about half price once it's all said and done, but you do have to go through the process of listing it and selling it. Maybe even shipping it, depending on where you sell it, whether it's local or, you know, on eBay or Jawa or something like that. Well, it looks like we're getting a video driver. Very good. Let me jump back over to the chat. Lou Greeny says for what he uses a laptop for, he'd take either one of these. Yeah, again, not everybody needs some high-end thing. The question is, how much money do you have to spend? I mean, you can tell me what you want, but if you don't have the money to back it up, then you're being unreasonable. Again, you might want filet mignon, and if you start expecting that at McDonald's, it's not McDonald's that's in the wrong there. You are the one who has unrealistic expectations. Or if you go to a steakhouse and you're expecting McDonald's pricing, you are the one that's being unreasonable, if that's the way your brain works. And you aren't going to win that battle. You will lose it every time. They're not adjusting the prices for you. You're going to pay the same as everybody else. And the question is, are you getting a good value? Like universally and objectionably, is this a good value? And at the end of the day, there are comparisons that you can use. And you will end up, you know, if you do your research, you can get some really good values. But you can't make somebody give you what you think it's worth, okay? You might be very far apart on what you think it's worth and what they're selling it for. And if they're selling it for a price that you think is too much, it's not for you. There's nothing wrong with anything they're necessarily doing or the product itself. But the relationship that you have to value may be disassociative to what everybody else sees. At the end of the day, the marketplace will ultimately decide value. If an item costs $5 to make, but people will spend $100 to buy it, and they keep selling out, they're not overcharging you. But if you can find a similar item, identical, for a fraction of the price, and as far as you can tell, it's all the same without a brand name, then that's the value for you. For some people, the value is in having a brand name. Some people want to flaunt name brand things, name brand purses, and name brand clothing, and they want the logos. They want it to say Gucci or Coach or what's that other one called? Valencia? I don't even know it. Hermes? That's important to some people. Got to have your Air Jordans? Okay, you're going to pay for that. Demelin said in California the steakhouse is cheaper than McDonald's. That's hilarious. Just about ready for our reboot. I guess I can unplug the flash drive. Should be done with that. I'm done with the razor. Put that away. Should be done with those big glasses. The big glasses. Gary Tatum mentions that even putting a faster NVMe drive in, it's still an i3 CPU. So it's kind of like your CPU is going to be your bottleneck to the NVMe drive at that point. Negating, again, another reason why to try and keep your components at the same level. Try not to underbuy, try not to overbuy. And you know what that means specifically, a lot of it depends on what do you have. Now, if you're looking for some advice in that way, hit us up on the forums at CareyHolzman.boards.net. I'm sure people will be happy to offer you some suggestions and advice on how to keep things balanced. Okay, that's 99% downloaded on the cumulative, and then we can restart the computer and we should see a BIOS update take place, just like before. So they truly are the same machine. It's not just they match specs, they're like literally the same machine, with just the case, you know, the laptop case and screen being different between the 15 and the 17 inch. So I realize, you know, it says restart now, but I'm still waiting for this. I don't have to, it's just a choice. .24H2 will be offered automatically to this computer, and it'll even happen in the background. I just recommend when you get a new computer, you make sure all those updates go in correctly. I don't think I want to sit here much longer, so I'll just go ahead and hit restart now because I'm losing patience. Normally I don't do that. It's just that we're live on camera and I want to get through this, but normally I would just set this up and walk away. Just let it run. And make sure that the screen is set to not put the laptop to sleep, because if I come back in a couple hours, instead of it being done and waiting for me, I might have to wake it up and it'll continue from when it went to sleep, and then I'm waiting even longer. So do pay attention to that when you're setting up your computer, especially somebody like me that's going to set that and walk away. So we might, for example, set this to do updates and then go to dinner. Come back home, it should be done and waiting. But if it's set to go to sleep, now I'm not talking about letting the monitor go to sleep. I'm saying if the whole system goes to sleep, then it shuts down, essentially, and it waits till I wake it up in order to continue whatever it was doing when it went to sleep. But for me, it's not a big deal. I've got other things to do. So the systems that I update, I'll just let them sit here and update. I go do something else. And I just make sure they're not going to go to sleep on me. And then I don't have to be back here at any certain time. If we go to dinner and we want to stop by the market on the way home, whatever the chores are, we get back and we get back. The computer is patient. It'll wait indefinitely for you. And that's better than me just sitting here staring at it, watching water boil, you know. Now we should see momentarily the BIOS start to install here. So I'm getting the NIMO logo right now on my screen. It's not yet HDMIing that out. It says, please wait while we install the system update. If I go full screen here on camera 1, because that's, oh, wait a minute, is it going to show us? Interesting. Yeah, it is going to show us. So let me get rid of my mug, and you can see what that BIOS update screen looks like. Some people, for some reason, are fascinated. They look at a BIOS update like they're watching the mating ritual of a panda. It's so rare. I want to see what it looks like. They all kind of look the same. Yeah, but these are different pandas. How can you tell? But yeah, that's what that looks like. All right, guys, we're just about ready to wrap this up. Once again, we're going to do crystal disk mark test on this, and we'll see what kind of performance this drive has. And that'll wrap it up for today. A shout out to our friends at NIMO for sending these laptops to us for us to review, and also to introduce you guys to as options to consider. You might have young ones that need to have a computer for school, and you want them to use it for school. Don't buy them a gaming laptop, because it'll cost you a lot of money, and they probably won't be using it for school as much as you prefer. If you have work to do, whatever that work is, business to take care of, you're paying your bills like most of us do. You got to pay the electric bill, you got to pay the utilities, you got to pay the internet, you got to pay your cell phone, you got to pay the insurance for the car, whatever. Most of us are doing that online. Now, yeah, a lot of people can do it over their phones now. I prefer a bigger screen. And while there are ways to hook up bigger screens to phones, for the work I do, especially like any sort of remote support, I need a bigger screen to see my customer's screen. If I'm writing anything, emails, I much prefer to type on a keyboard than type it on my phone. So for me personally, I much prefer a computer. I'm a creator. I'm not a consumer. Well, I am a consumer too, but I'm a creator, and I need something I can create with. And I just can't create very well with a phone. It's very limited. I can take pictures with the phone, I can take video with the phone, but I'm not editing that stuff on the phone. And when it comes time to actually publishing, unless it's live, I mean, I can use the phone to make a live video. I prefer to use a regular camera and a good microphone and have a lot more zoom control and stability than a camera, than a smartphone. So for me personally, the versatility of a computer as a creator is far more usable as a creator. If all I'm doing is consuming what other people have created, then all I need is a phone or a tablet. All right, we're getting to our boot up here. And that means we can bring up Crystal Disk Mark Portable and start the 64-bit version of that. Close the window. I'm going to give this just a second to load whatever it's starting, its startup. I think we're good to go. Let's see what numbers we get here. It's more expected. Yeah. We should be right around 5,000 on a middling Gen 4 drive. We've I think the one on Friday was 6,000, over 6,000. And I was impressed by it. This is what I was expecting. That's normal. When you get around 5,000, and then your write speed may be about 1,000 less, that's exactly what I expect. If we see more than that, I'm pleasantly surprised. And if we see less than that, well, I'm disappointed. The only part I'm disappointed about now, or show some concern about, is the heat of that drive. It's getting way too hot for something at that level. A Beijing drive, for example, could run at 7,400 megabytes per second. And if it was doing that and getting hot, it would make sense. But that shouldn't be getting that hot for that speed. So we'll look into that another day. Scott said I'd be unhappy with 23H2. I'd want newer software. Well, and again, you have to consider, and I'll keep saying it over and over and over again until I'm heard, how much are you paying? If you want to pay this price, there's conditions. And it's a reasonable negotiation. It's a reasonable exchange for what they're asking, for what you're getting. If you want more, just pay more. It's that easy. Now, if you can get one exactly the same as this, where all that work is already done with the latest Windows 11 version, 24H2 installed, with everything else being the same, including the price, let me know where you can buy that, because as far as I know, it doesn't exist. It exists if you want to pay the money. Now, you see that number on the right side there, the 1881? That is way too slow. And the reason, I'm going to use years of experience to guess what that reason is. And anybody who's been watching this channel or has been in this industry a while should be able to tell me exactly why that's so slow. That is not the speed this should be running at. I can tell you that right now. The reason you're seeing that number is because more than likely it's overheating. And that is an early indication your drive is getting hot. So it wasn't hot initially when it started the read test, but as the read test heat the drive up, when it goes over to the write test, there's not enough time for the drive to cool down. So now it's already at temperature, and now it's starting to throttle in order to keep itself from overheating. Because if the throttling doesn't cut the mustard, the whole system will blue screen and shut off. That is the sign. You may not even get a blue screen. You may just get, the computer gets really, really slow, and then it shuts off or restarts. That's indicative of an overheating NVMe drive consistently. They will perform the exact same symptoms. And once you recognize it, you'll see it right away. And one easy way to sort of double check would simply be to give the drive time to cool off and tell Crystal Diskmark just to do the write test only, so that it's not heating up on the read side first. So if I take a screenshot of this, because we'll share this result with NIMO and let them know. Let's save this image. We'll do Crystal, if I can spell today, Crystal Diskmark. Ooh, that's a pretty good sized keyboard on this bad boy. Yeah, the keyboard's physically larger, so the keys are bigger and more spaced out than they are on the 15. Let's go JPEG to the desktop. Save that. So if we go to the profile and we just do the write, you hit that button. And in theory now, we should only be doing the write test. And in the time it took me to save the file, it doesn't take long for a drive to cool down. Just let it idle for a moment or two, and it should fall back down to temp. Now, we're still sitting really, really bad there. So if I bring up Crystal Disk Info, I just want to see what temp it's reporting, because that's probably over 70 degrees Celsius to see temps performance degradation like that. Yeah, there we go. That's the problem. 75 is danger zone. Like that's 5 degrees over what should be your maximum normal operating temperature. Not enough to cause immediate harm, but definitely going to affect performance. And over the long term, if that's not addressed, it will result in a much shorter lifespan for that drive. Yeah, that's a serious concern. And that absolutely explains the slow write speeds. But if you want to know, again, without opening the drive, just doing a little bit of research, what is the BM9C1 Samsung drive capable of? We can just hit Control-C, highlight that, hit Control-C. And if you want, we can bring up, we'll just bring up Google. I guess we could bring up Copilot too. The computer continues to work, right? And if we weren't writing data to it, we may not even notice, or you might, everything, temp files and virtual memory would all be slower. And some people would pick up on that almost right away and say, something's wrong with my computer, it's running slow. Yeah, this says we should be getting twice what we're getting on the write speed. And if we're looking on the read speed, it's probably closer to 5,000, maybe a little bit more. Yep, just as I called it. Okay, so this gives you some basis. And again, we're not going to Reddit and listening to somebody with some rando screen name, you know, Hotshot 007 says, who the hell is that? Are you talking to a child? Are you talking to a grown adult? Are you talking to somebody who works in the industry? Are you talking to somebody who just wants to talk and they sound like they know what they're talking about and all they need you to do is believe them? No matter how much conviction they speak with doesn't make them right. It doesn't even mean they're not making stuff up or that they don't truly believe the nonsense that they're spouting out to you. So find, for me anyway, a more objective resource, preferably the manufacturer's specifications, specifically from the manufacturer's website. And when it comes to opinions, they're everywhere, and Reddit is full of them. Some of them are useful, most of them are not, and your job is to sift through it. So if you want to sift through all that stuff, have at it. But I would not make any assumption that the information there is accurate without verification. But by using a Google search, the AI summary, not always right either, but that fits pretty much what I was expecting. And since that's what I was expecting based on experience, not based on personal preference, it all makes sense to me, right? I'm just looking to make sure, am I way off base? Is this a different model that performs differently than what I think it does? Let's see, is there a way to refresh this? Appear to be. Okay, see our temp dropped to 63 now. So let's go back to Crystal Disk Mark. You see that 1682? I wish this was live updating. One more time, let's just do this write test over here, the sequential write. And I know that temp's going to get hot real quick, but let's see if we get it in time for that to be a significantly different number. It's worse. How could it be that bad? That is mechanical drive speed. Wow. And now if I refresh this again, if I just select the disk, I bet that's really hot now. Hold on. Let's get out of that altogether and restart it. Yeah, 65 is still too hot. You'll see it still was in red, and we can keep monitoring this. Normally, they do cool down within about 30 to 60 seconds. And what also may be happening is we may be still downloading Windows updates in the background. Could be happening. So the drive may be in use, even though I think it's idling, it may not be idling. In fact, if I go to the task manager, we could probably see what the activity of the drive is. Well, it's pretty slow. Doesn't have much going on here. So with that in mind, let's just see if it's cooled down at all. Yeah, it's dropped by 10 degrees Celsius already. Still a little too hot though. Definitely a problem there. So I don't need to exacerbate that. We've concluded that the write speed of this drive is severely impacted due to the heat. And this is not a rocket ship of a drive. It shouldn't be getting that hot. There's two reasons this will happen. The most common reason is the thermal contact isn't being made with the thermal tape, or the back of the, usually on laptops, the back of the panel is the heatsink, or it's missing. Maybe it just got missed. Or we have a bad drive. Those are your two main causes, and it's not rocket science, and it's easy to do. So that means we've got content for maybe Tuesday. We can open this up, and we'll follow up with this and see what we can see. As for the regular viewers, if you're just a viewer and you decide, hey, I want to order one of these, and you're experiencing these heat issues, I do not recommend you fix it yourself unless you're the one who, put the drive in it. If you ordered this bare bones, that's on you. But if you ordered this ready to go, it's not ready to go. And it should not be your job to fix it. If I purchased this laptop from NIMO, I would not repair this computer. No way. No. No, 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 no. What I would do is I would reach out to NIMO Tech Support. I'd say, my drive performance is severely hindered and it appears to be overheating. Please advise how you would like me to proceed. And they will maybe ask you for some verification, run this test or run that test and send us the results. And then they will make a suggestion, right? And they might say, if you're comfortable opening it, you can take a look at this. If you're not comfortable opening it, let's send it back. Let's get you a replacement. Do not dictate to any manufacturer what they're going to do. It's not, when you're asking for somebody to help you and you're angry, you are not likely going to get anything than the bare minimum that they're obligated. They don't want to help you because you're being a jerk. They might be legally obligated, but they're not going to go over and above for you. They're not going to do a little extra or go throw in a little something extra. Not that they would anyway, but they definitely won't if you're being demanding. So if your attitude is, you're going to make this right or I'm going to send it back, they're obviously going to try and make it right, but they're not going to be happy dealing with you. That's a problem that tech support can't fix. But if you're kind, it's not their fault. Something happened. Ask them, how would you like me to proceed? We have a problem. Don't tell them how to do their job. If you want to, expect to have a terrible support experience for any company, anywhere. Please advise. That's a great way. My laptop appears to be having an NVMe drive that's overheating. Please advise. Give them an opportunity to help you. Don't tell them how to help you. You're going to make it miserable for both of you to deal with each other. They're going to say very professionally, try this, try that, send us this, send us that. Do exactly what they ask you to do unless for some reason you can't. In which case, just tell them why you can't do that. In most cases, they're very simple requests. At that point, you provide it, please advise. In other words, what's next? And likely you will get to the solution faster, the solution you want, and you're not going to be angry and gritting your teeth about, oh, these people. And that's true of all companies. And what you'll find is a lot of times, you think like a police officer pulls you over for speeding, right? And you think, oh man, this guy's a jerk. He's doing his job, right? You were speeding, you were speeding. And if you're like, no, I wasn't, that's probably not going to get you too far. The officer has it on radar. I wasn't speeding, you were. And you can play that game all day. The officer's not going to scratch his head and go, oh, maybe you're right. But if you go, you know what, officer, you got me. You caught me. I was speeding. The officer might just get his socks blown off. Like, I'm sorry, what did you say? I'm saying I was speeding. You got me. Well done. Red-handed. The officers are so accustomed to being abused because people are angry for making bad decisions that they got caught. Well, you're owning up to it. And in my personal experience, that doesn't mean they're not going to get a ticket, but you might not. Mar and I were driving back from Michigan, and we're in Oklahoma where there's a lot of highway patrol. And Oklahoma is just like, oh man, we're going to be in Oklahoma forever. It's hot, it's humid. You're going in Tulsa and we're coming out the other side towards Texas. We're going through the entire length of Oklahoma. I wish I could just cut through it vertically. It's a lot of time in Oklahoma. It's a whole day to get from one end to the other. And I want to get out of there. And there's toll roads and there's cops everywhere. So you're paying a toll to get on a road that if you're speeding, you'll pay a ticket for. And we're just cruising along. It's been an effortless trip. And I'm in the left lane. I'm driving about 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. And I'm passing cars. Like, seems like I'm going a lot faster than I really am. Like in Phoenix, 10 is nothing. And as I get up on this brown car, I see it's got lights and it says police. And I'm just about to pass him. And I'm like, well, maybe it's not enough. It's not excessive. Now, he lets me get in front of him. He gets behind me. He lights me up. So I immediately pull over. He says, you know, license, registration, insurance. Here you go. Where are you going? Now, look, there's videos where people will say, I'm not answering any questions. I've either window rolled up. Yeah, you're probably going to get a ticket because you're being difficult. So I'm like, you know, you got me. Fair and square. I got caught. I'll take responsibility for my actions. So where are you going? We're leaving Michigan. We're on a vacation. We're just driving through, getting back to Phoenix. You can see I've got a Michigan bumper sticker on the car, and I've got a Phoenix, Arizona driver's license. I got Arizona plates. That story adds up. He looks in the car. He sees luggage. Sit tight for a minute. He comes back, and he goes, well, you know, you passed me on the freeway. I go, honestly, I didn't see you. If I would have seen you, I would have slowed down. But since I didn't see you, that's just why I did that. He goes, well, you guys have a safe trip. Drive safe. No warnings, no ticket. Like, he's not writing an official warning. Everything's good. Be safe. Slow down. Thank you, sir. Have a nice day. No big deal. No big deal. But if I said I wasn't speeding, what are you talking about? Oh, I guess I just imagined you passing me. So that doesn't always work. Sometimes they still write you the ticket. But if you piss them off, you might get, oh, let's see what other violations we can write you up for while we're here. If you're asking somebody for help, be nice. You're going to get better help. If they're legally obligated to help you, they're going to do the bare minimum. They're not going to be quick about it, and they're not going to take care to do it with the best of their ability, because that's the only way they can get you back. I wouldn't yell at a nurse only to have them jab a needle in me in a very painful way. Be nice to the nurses and the doctors. They're there to help you. There's some excuse that you might be in pain and you might not be in the right mind, but do try to be in the right mind and have some consideration that they are there to help you. So, and that is a general rule of all business. You can yell and scream your head off at Walmart. You're not going to get better customer service. If anything, it'll be worse. So while I've been sitting here, remember I said this laptop may be downloading updates in the background. Just out of the corner of my eye, I just happened to see this pop up, and that's exactly what it was doing. So we'll go ahead and let that restart. And with that, that's going to wrap it up for today. We're right there a little after 4 o'clock, which is, well, that's my stop. I get off here. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. We're back at it tomorrow, back to the work week. So enjoy what's left of Sunday. And hopefully you'll be back as a member tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And then, as I mentioned, we'll follow up with this laptop. Maybe we'll do that Tuesday. See if we can dig down into this a little bit. Find a reason. Or we could just have a bad drive. But again, if this were to happen to you, I don't recommend you fix it. Reach out and be nice. And they'll likely expedite getting you a replacement. And you'll be happy. This is not normal, but it's not the end of the world. That's going to wrap it up for me for today. Thanks to Mara, as always, for all the work she does in the background. I want to thank the Amazon gift cards we got today. One more shout out to the generosity of so many of our members of our community. Let's see. Luke Greenia, thank you. Charlie Purdy, a thank you. Mark Gaines and Buster, thank you guys so much for your continued support, your friendship. In the super chats today, we had a couple here I want to just shout out and say thank you again, because these folks make these videos happen. Those membership renewals, like from Gregory Howard and Charlie Purdy, also Planet Cryos, they're the fuel that power this channel. Thank you for the super chats from Jose Lopez, Planet Cryos, Rick Lakes, Paul Vercher, Tom Jackson. Again, the combination of memberships and gift cards or super chats helps keep us from being the mouthpiece or shill for a faceless, soulless corporation that dictates what I'm allowed to say or not say. We have this freedom of independence financially because we can. It's not a matter of freedom of speech. I have freedom in America to go anywhere in America I want to, but I have to be able to pay for the gas or the transportation. So freedom isn't free, but it's also not necessarily expensive either. So long as we have the funding to continue to do this, that's all that's keeping me from moving forward. And thankfully, with the help of our dedicated community here, we continue to march forward along with cooperation from companies like NIMO. We wouldn't be here unless all of this came together in just the way it's coming together. And I can't thank everybody involved enough for that. That includes NIMO, and that includes anybody joining us in our chat room at any level, member or not, super chat or not. Having you as part of our community is very, very important as well. And that's going to wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see the members back tomorrow at 1 o'clock as always. And until next time, bye for now.